Thank you once again for making us part of your morning. Time now to bring you some updates in the news. And first, President John Mahama delivered a blunt message at the United Nations. Crimes against Palestinians must stop. He urged world leaders to speak plainly on the Gaza crisis. His comments come just hours after the minority urged the government to tread cautiously on the issue. More in the following report.
Addressing world leaders in New York, President John Dramani Mahama criticized attempts to soften the reality of the Gaza crisis, stressing Ghana's support for a two-state solution.
Ghana recognized the state of Palestine in 1988 and supported a two-state solution to the conflict since then. And I say, contrary to the claims of some, a two-state solution would not be a reward for Hamas. It would rather be a reprieve for the hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children and people who are facing collective punishment and forced starvation for no reason other than the fact that they are Palestinian. For nearly 2 years and for the fear of reprisals, we here in this General Assembly have been playing hide and seek with language to find the right words to help us avoid or excuse what we all know is taking place in Gaza. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, then it must be a duck. The crimes in Gaza must stop. The crimes in Gaza must stop.
The president also challenged the United Nations' relevance, calling its chapter outdated and demanding reforms to reflect today's realities.
The UN founding charter is outdated when it comes to representation in this August Assembly. The most powerful post-World War II nations are still being rewarded with an almost totalitarian guardianship over the rest of the world. And yet, the first sentence in Chapter 2, Article 1 of the UN Charter declares that the organization is based on the principle of sovereign equality of all its members. If this were true, and was the case, a continent as large as Africa, with its numerous UN member states, would have at least one permanent seat on the Security Council.
The president specifically called for a permanent Security Council seat for Africa, tying the continent's rightful representation to broader UN reforms.
That veto power should not be restricted to only 5 nations, nor should it be absolute. There must be a mechanism in this House for the General Assembly to challenge a veto. No single nation should be able to exercise an absolute veto to serve its own interests in a dispute. And we African leaders are still making the same simple request for a permanent seat on the Security Council with the power of a veto.
He further celebrated Ghana's economic gains, cutting inflation by more than half and stabilizing the cedi, but stressed that Africa's future extends far beyond economics.
Our currency, the Ghana cedi, was rapidly depreciating, faced with rising inflation, a huge debt burden, and low morale amongst our citizens. My new administration settled down quickly and embarked on an ambitious program of comprehensive transformation designed to restructure Ghana's economic foundation and enhance our competitive standing globally. We refer to this process of recalibration as our reset agenda. In just 8 months, we have achieved significant reduction in inflation from 23.8% in December 2024 to 11.5% in August 2025. Restoring price stability for our citizens.
The Ghana Great Company has raised alarm over growing threats posed by illegal mining activity to the country's power transmission network. According to the company, illegal miners are encroaching on transmission corridors, erecting pits dangerously close to high voltage towers, and in some cases directly targeting Gridco staff with gunfire. Acting Deputy CEO in charge of engineering and operations at Gridco, Frank Otre, warns that the situation not only endangers the lives of workers, but also puts the national grid at serious risk. James Aveji has more.
The Energy Committee, led by Chairman Emmanuel Bejira and Ranking Member Kwame Abuaje, began the first day of their 3-day monitoring visit to energy sector agencies with stops at GRIDCO, the Energy Commission, and PURC here in Accra. At GRIDCO, officials highlighted ongoing expansion projects, including a $353 million 161 kV transmission line aimed at improving power supply in the Volta and Uti regions. They, however, said illegal mining activities are threatening their transmission towers in some parts of the country.
The right-of-way clearing becomes lucrative to galamseyers, and in a number of areas, our people go and see that overnight people come and do their galamseying activities very close to our towers. Unfortunately, there are some areas that even when our maintenance teams are going, they get shot at, and some of them have had to run away.
Galamsey is not only affecting Ghana Water Company, that is only affecting national security, it's affecting GRIDCO as well, the transmission line. Very soon you go there and you'll be shocked with the power that is in, and you'll be bent down. So we want to caution Ghanaians, especially Galamseyers, to know that you are risking your life.
At the Energy Commission Executive Secretary, Eunice Brecho, called for tax incentives for local renewable energy companies, as she said they are working on a target to add 63 megawatts of power to the national energy mix.
There's one, SPS was around, they weren't able to do much, they're just hanging around. Another entity, TradeWorks, has really, he's built his factory, he's looking at bringing in equipment, and he wants to partner with us, and he sees that perhaps even some collaboration with governments where they're incentivized to produce in large numbers will help to push that agenda. I mean, we are talking about local content and local participation. We really need to support our local industries to really be able to pick up the renewable energy agenda for the country.
At the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Executive Secretary Shafiq Suleiman said they are advocating for a new law to protect water bodies from destruction by illegal mining.
So we will be glad if the Parliament can consider a Clean Drinking Water Act or regulatory framework with PURC ready to take up the mantle. In fact, we've even developed internally an existing framework. We are only waiting for the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources to call for it and possibly pass it through Parliament for it to become a law so that we can help implement it.
On the issue of utility tariff increase for ECG and Ghana Water, PURC said regional consultations are ongoing before a final decision. The committee chairman and ranking member, however, stressed that any approval must be preceded by ECG reducing its losses.
I mean, we are the representative of the people. We cannot sit down and our people just to come and bundle any rate to us. We need to know what exactly it entails, and that if we are going to be in the same alignment or the same price range with our neighbors, that's fine. If not, then what is the justification for the new tariff?
The waste. Efficiency will bring something that will help all of us. Okay, they should focus on efficiency. And I know if they focus on efficiency, they won't be demanding increment all the time.
The committee will continue with day 2 of its monitoring visit, where's the Electricity Company of Ghana, the Volta River Authority, and then later move to the Eastern region. For JoyNews, I am James Savage.
Health facilities in the Ashanti region, the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital and the Kumasi South Hospital are heightening calls for their urgent retooling to facilitate quality healthcare delivery. Health officers grapple with obsolete and inadequate medical equipment negatively impacting service delivery to the hundreds of patients that throng the facility. During a tour to these facilities, the administrator of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund reiterated the government's efforts to complete stalled hospital projects in the region and equipping health facilities with adequate medical tools. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Medical Trust Fund has begun a nationwide initiative to provide essential medical equipment to hospitals in Ghana with its latest visit to the Ashanti region. Administrator of the fund, Obobia Dako Opoku, paid a working visit to the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital and the Kumasi South Hospital. It is part of a nationwide assessment tour aimed at soliciting the concerns of health professionals and identifying pressing equipment deficit. At CATH, the medical director of CATH, Dr. Sabin, noted that despite handling referrals from other regions, the facility is severely under-equipped.
The maintenance of the equipment is really huge on us. We've not had a mammogram. Ours broke down, and since then, we've not had. And then fluoroscopy too, we don't have as of now. And then there are other areas where recently it was in the news when we lost one of our doctors, a cath lab. We don't have now.
At Kumasi South Hospital, the administrator was briefed on similar challenges, particularly the lack of space and equipment for effective healthcare delivery. Medical doctor of Kumasi South Hospital, Dr. Bashiru Abdul Majid, appealed for the completion of the long-abandoned Sewia Regional Hospital project, situated a few kilometers away from the hospital.
As a regional hospital, you know, this place was a health center that was upgraded to a regional hospital, and so space is a major challenge in this hospital. Though some structures have been added over the years to solve the problem, but it's still a big challenge. We have a lot of people, specialists, who do not have space to work. That's why there was a need to build a new hospital. And after the hospital is commissioned, it's still sitting there. We are not able to use it. We are looking up to government to try and solve the problem as quickly as possible. If you go there, it's an eyesore.
Mrs. Obobia assured both hospitals of the Trust Fund's commitment to addressing these concerns, emphasizing that the fund is not only focused on providing equipment but also supporting patients' bill, training healthcare professionals, and promoting research.
And looking at the load that they have, people coming from the north, from the west, and all over, all of them come into the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, and for them to have a facility that is virtually running on equipment that are outdated, so many years old, and clearly you look at it and you know that they really need the help, and it's important that corporate Ghana, government, all of us head there to give them the kind of support that they need to do their work. So there are four major things that we are doing. Basically, we are coming in to help with the patients, bills and all. We're also looking at equipment. We're also looking at training of nurses, doctors, specialist training, and also for the research for their work. And those are the four major components in our LI that we will pay particular attention to.
She added that the completion of the Sewia Hospital remains a priority, as it will ease congestion and ensure that facilities in the Ashanti region function at full capacity. Reporting for JoyNews, Josephine Sego.
The head of supervision at the Credit Union Association, Stella Tasa, has challenged women to embrace a savings culture, emphasizing that financial discipline is vital to securing their future and supporting their families. Speaking at a Women and Youth Dialogue organized by the UCC Cooperative Credit Union Limited, she advised women to reduce over-reliance on their husbands and rather see savings as a practical pathway to building stronger homes and ensuring long-term stability. Abigail Esel Nkrumah has more.
The Women and Youth Dialogue, organized by the Women's Wing of the University of Cape Coast Cooperative Credit Union Limited, was on a theme, empowering women and youth, strengthening cooperatives and driving inclusive growth. The dialogue, which is the first of its kind, constituted discussions across leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. Following the event, the chairperson of the UCC Cooperative Credit Union, Charity Abraham, highlighted the significance of having the dialogue.
So basically, you want to create a leadership pathways for women and youth to be able to thrive and then have the needed confidence to take up challenges to become better leaders in future. Again, we are looking at the entrepreneurial aspect. Most of our youth complete school, and then the next thing they are looking for is government work, white-collar jobs, and all of that. So credit union is taking it up to build their skills, to have the entrepreneurial mindset so that they wouldn't depend wholly or solely on government work. They'll be able to do their own things to get money and then being able to save with us. So this is what motivated it.
The head of supervision at the Credit Union Association Limited, Stella Tasa Maunyo, encouraged women to practice the habits of saving.
We believe women have skill sets such as empathy, which will help when they come on board to lead. So basically, this is what we are doing. For loans, it's accessible for all members. Once you are a member and you save continuously, you have access for loans. But our advice to women is for them to save regularly for the future. They should not rely 100% on their husbands. They should save for the future. Today, their kids might be young, but in future, they are going to grow. And so they need to save more so that when their kids are the universities, they can support their husbands to see the kids through the university. So this is a plea to the women. Enough of the clothes, enough of the shoes, enough of the makeups. We have to save for the future.
Nase Awokwansima Ochuwa III is the Queen Mother of Ekumfi Ekoti and Onaibusi of Winneba, Assistant Registrar to UCC and an entrepreneur. She shared some advice with women entrepreneurs, reiterating the importance of saving.
I encourage women, my fellow women, that once we get a small capital and start doing something, we have to learn to save. Very important. Keep records of what we invested in, what is coming out, save some, possibly invest some, and then at the end of the day, let's take advantage of the facilities credit unions offer and use those facilities to expand our businesses, not to use the facilities to buy funeral cloth and wedding fabrics and all of that, but to reinvest in our businesses, to expand the businesses so that we would also be comfortable in our lives.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lisol Nkrumah reports for JoyNews.
The Catholic Bishop of Gwaso Diocese, Most Reverend Peter Kweku Itiakene, has called on members of the clergy to remain content with what they have in their pastoral calling. Speaking at the ordination mass of 3 young men into the Catholic priesthood at Kenyase in the Ahafo region, he urged priests not to let wealth creation take center stage in their pastoral mission, but rather to focus on love for mankind. Our Ahafo regional correspondent, Emmanuel Edujemfi, has more.
Salary. We live for the church, and therefore it's the members that take care of us. And most of the time we see many poor and simple people bring in the little they have to just keep us going. Therefore, I'm asking the priests and all of us to appreciate the little that they have. They must not impose, they must not choose and select. Take whatever they have.
Most Reverend Kokode-Nwamase also admonished priests to serve in humility and love and not to lord over their congregations.
Try not to let their love for you make you superior over them or lord it over them. Humble yourselves and you enjoy it. The priesthood is also joyful because you have so many people who are looking up to you, and they come to you and they give you what they want. So I'm asking the priests that wherever they are placed, they must be content with whatever they have.
The Catholic Bishop of Gwaso Diocese stressed the need for persons who aspire to be in the priesthood to have full conviction of God's calling and not to cut corners.
It's a calling. If you are not called, don't push yourself into it. That is why in these days I think we have so many people calling themselves as priests. There's no monitoring. Nobody knows what kind of formation they have. And therefore, they must not cut corners and just don't let monetary considerations or anything take center stage in their lives.
Reverend Father Samson Bedu, one of the newly ordained priests, on behalf of his colleagues, pledged to use their gifts and talent in their pastoral mission to serve humanity faithfully.
That the bishop has given to us and the church has provided for us we must cherish it. So we are not coming to fight for wealth, but we are coming to give hope to the people of God. So we promise that we will not come and do certain things that goes contrary to the teachings of the church. So we promise that whatever we have, the talent the Lord has given to us, and the gift that He has given to us, we will put it into a good use.
From Kenya, in the Ahafo region for JoyNews, Emmanuel Edujemfi.
Away from that, President John Dramani Mahama has called for a reset of the global financial architecture, urging the world leaders to prioritize fairness. Speaking at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, he argued that the current system is skewed against African nations and undermines their development prospects.
30 years later, we African leaders are still making the same simple request for a permanent seat on the Security Council with the power of a veto. So today, Madam President, I stand here in this exact spot and ask the world, if not now, then when? We demand not only a reform of the Security Council, but also a reset of the global financial architecture, which is currently rigged against Africa. Africa must have a greater say in the world's multilateral financial institutions. And while I'm making requests, I'd like to call for the removal of the blockade on Cuba. As Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our nation's founder, famously said, we seek to be friends with all and enemies to none. The Cuban people shed their blood on African soil in the fight against apartheid. And indeed, Cuba has been and continues to be a faithful friend of Africa. You see, the very fact that I can stand here and ask these things and say these things, and the fact that all nations can ostensibly gather here to address critical global issues, air our grievances, and express our concerns, that is what makes the survival of this organization so important. In every old city or village, you will find a town square, or a courtyard, or a plaza that once served as a gathering space for the citizens of the community and their leaders. Meetings and celebrations were held there, as were trials and elections. And these were spaces that brought people together and held them together as a community. Sadly, time and technology have eroded these spaces. Madam President, in many ways, the United Nations is the proverbial town square of our modern global village.
The Ghana Boxing Authority says it will introduce medical support for boxers after their bout following the sudden passing of Ernest Akushe, popularly known as Buhabali. The boxer died just 11 days after his super middleweight contest with Jacob Dixon at the Bukom Boxing Arena. We'll have a lot of that coming up in sport. But let's take what's happening on the commodities market. To the AM show. A reminder that the show is sponsored by Kenoga Company Limited and Syntex Tanks. Now, Ghana, let's talk water tanks. Do you know what? I wonder if you know the secret to real water storage. Let me show you. It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is a champion of water tanks. It is strong, durable, and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So come rain or shine, Syntex tank has got your back. So go outside today, check your tank, and if it doesn't have the tortoise on it, of course, and it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex family today and enjoy water storage that's tough, like a tortoise. Call 0244-335168, 0244-335-168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents across the country. You can also shop online today at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, strong, tough. Well, let's welcome our guest on the news review today. Today is going to be all men affair. You'd have to pardon us today. Now, Prof. Isaac Body is Dean, Accounting and Finance of the UPSA. Prof, good morning to you. We've also been joined by Andrew Apia-Dankwa, a lawyer and spokesperson for Movement for Change, Afro-Fronto. Good morning.
Good morning.
Everything good?
Yeah, I'm doing great yourself.
Yeah, I'm well. And then we have coming Kruma Tio. Just this week, was it last week? We celebrated a birthday.
Yes.
That was this week, right? Yes. On Monday.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was on Sunday, and then we did a holiday on Monday of his godfather, the General Secretary of CPP, and also a lawyer as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome,
brother.
Well, before we delve into the papers, let's probably I'll give you a minute each. We don't want to spend much time on it. Give us your reflections, and then we'll delve into the papers.
So I would start with two statements by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He said, "We face neither east nor west. We face forward." And he also said that we are not only fighting for ourselves, but for the whole of humanity. You can draw parallels with what he said and the historic speech at the United Nations 80th General Assembly by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I listened to the speech, and it is indeed very inspiring because being who we are, it is sometimes difficult to tell the truth to power. At the same time, it is difficult to maintain your non-aligned stance. But he did a perfect balancing act, and I think he has ignited a fire in the whole of humanity, both the developed countries and the developing countries, that we should not stand aside for certain things to be happening. Because in the short run, it may benefit some countries, but in the long run, it is our descendants who will suffer. I think it is a timely speech and very inspiring, and I think we should all latch into it and then get into action for the sake of posterity.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't wish all of you a good morning. I wish my brother Kwame Nkrumah, Prof, yourself, a good morning. In fact, this week there's been so much going on my mind, especially against all the problems that we have dealt with. For me, what it exposes, a fundamental lack of commitment to enforce the structures, the systems we put in place to put us in a position to fulfill the purpose for which we as a people came together to promulgate our constitution. And then if you read our constitution, I think the purpose ultimately was to create a system that was going to guarantee our rights to our lives, our rights to our properties, our rights to our liberties, our right to pursue our own happiness. But to fulfill that, then the people we give our powers to, the citizens, all of us in our own small way, are burdened as in with the need to create the right political culture that will tolerate diverse views, but that will also hold political leadership accountable. But that's the only way in which we can guarantee for ourselves the rule of law. That's the only way in which these 3 or 4 purposes for which we took by ourselves our constitution can be enforced. But over the years, a fundamental commitment to enforcing the laws that all of us put together is gradually killing our country. Galamsey, we all say, is an existential threat. And clearly there's a fundamental lack of commitment from all of us, especially from the people we give our powers to simply enforce the laws. Yes, and because really that's the fundamental problem with this Galamsey issue, to the extent that people's properties, people's minds are being taken over by Galamseyers. To the extent that just yesterday, Gridco is telling us that unless we do something about Galamsey, there's even a danger of they fulfilling their mandate. Also, we make laws, and we want to create a right political culture. We want to create a system where, the system that we put in place to choose leaders, there'll be some form of legitimacy, legality, as in some form of fairness. And yet, the people are going to sit aloof. It's even in the face of serious government, people will be published saying things like His Excellency Dr. Bamia said, that I purchased over 300 pickups for the MPP, and we are sitting down and we are not concerned. So unless and until the government and the people, the journalists, all of us, show real commitment to the principles, to the tenets, you understand, that ought to underpin this system, this structure we created for the purpose of guaranteeing for us our right to our lives, our right to our properties, our right to our liberties, our right to pursue our own happiness. Then what we are doing will continue to be a sham. Some of us are of a strong view that we don't have a democracy. What we think is a democracy is not a democracy. And indeed, if we do not take care, what we will have will be a government by the least qualified. And I don't think it is in the interest of all of us, especially when you put into proper perspective the purpose for which we took upon this system to sit down aloof and allow this evil to happen to our country. So that's what is on my mind.
All right then. Prof.
Yes, good morning to your viewers and good morning to my colleagues as well. This week has been eventful. A lot of issues. Later we'll look at the hunger General Assembly issue. But I will comment on Imani's survey and then info analytics survey. Per my background, surveys or research are very important for innovation and development, for policy and decision making as well. So from where I come from, I place premium on research. So in any day, I support research because it forms a being of what we do every day in our lives. Let's read the first report, Imani Info Analytics. President Mahama's approval slips to 67%. Imani also admits that the president's approval rating is rapidly fading. If you look at the two reports, especially that of Info Analytics, they take a sample size of 9,509, and then they use a margin of error of 1.3, the confidence interval of 99%. Often the margin of error is a function of sample size, not entire population. So we can give credence to that report, and then we can look at the meaning of what the numbers. My issue is not on the numbers. My issue is on whether the sample truly reflects the diverse realities of all Ghanaians, the marginalized group excluded from the pooling. That's where my problem is.
How do you say the marginalized groups are excluded from the group, from the polling?
What we found in the report happens to be the missing silent voices. 13,000 Ghanaians who are in Burkina Faso, those who are in Cote d'Ivoire, Boko conflicts, the victims. If we had had people from Burkina, Cote d'Ivoire, the victims in Boko, I'm sure the results would have been different.
Now, how are you going to do that when would they even, be willing to say we're going to speak to you when in their circumstance they will not probably be thinking about polling or surveying, whatever?
That is why we have the rating an issue. Because they are all part of Ghanaians, part of the system. And he used a survey. Some were paused. Some had to respond. So RPP, we came out to say that if those people had had the opportunity of responding to the questionnaire and to the survey, maybe the ratings would have differed.
Isn't that why we have sampling? You probably understand it better.
Yeah, we do. We do. But in sampling, others have also gone beyond Cote d'Ivoire to interview them.
Okay.
Others have gone to Burkina Faso to interview them.
So it adds to the body of work.
Exactly. And we also expect a similar thing to have been done. And the rating probably would have differed.
Okay. So what is the outcome of that work, or they are yet to come out with their findings?
Oh, they are yet to come out with their findings.
Okay, yeah. we wait for them. But let me come to you, doctors, lawyers. Do you belong to the Ghana Law Society or the Ghana Law Society? The two of you. Where do you belong?
Interesting question. Well, I've always been a member of the Ghana Bar Association.
Okay.
And I believe my brother is also of the Ghana.
You also GB.
In fact, I didn't know that there was. Is it Ghana what?
Ghana Law Society.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh, yeah. The people who have sued, they've filed a writ at the Supreme Court
yes.
for a reinterpretation of the constitutional provision. They are saying that the Bar Association, the Constitution, does not necessarily refer to the current Bar Association that these guys are members of.
Oh, yeah, we are a common teacher.
No, I'm talking about that.
We're also common lawyers. We're all common.
And yesterday, they paid a courtesy call on the acting Chief Justice, who was saying that, well, they should apply for a license from the Ghana Legal Council. Yeah. And a lot of the lawyers have taken, okay, I spoke to just one, he's taking a lot of issues with that, but I don't know what you do make of it. Is the Bar Association mentioned in the Constitution the one that you belong to, or any other association can come up and also say that they should be recognized by the Constitution?
Oh, my personal view is that it goes to the very root of our Constitution, the rights to the Ghana Bar Association, in my opinion, is a club. Is a club whose members are lawyers per se. Yes, I think there was a case, not Wardview.
Yes.
Came up with his own, went to court, and yeah. So my personal view is that.
Yeah. So a lawyer told me yesterday that something like that came up, but I didn't succeed.
This is not the first.
Oh, not succeed. He went to court, and the court held for them. My personal view is that the Ghana Bar Association is a club. That's my view. A club of lawyers. And if some lawyers feel that they want to also have their own association, their own rules, in my opinion, nothing should stop them from having. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. So you don't find the meeting with the CJ, who we understand is going to empanel the judges to sit on that particular case, wrong? Because yesterday some lawyers ethical.
In terms of what's going on with WRL, a real sense of bias.
Exactly, yesterday.
Well, I get their point, because you see, like we all say, justice must not only be done; it must manifestly be seen what's got to be done. But the CJ is also the head of the General Legal Council, not so.
Yes.
The CJ is also the head of the General Legal Council. So, but having said that, I tend to side with the view that says that what's called Davis in the CJ gives a certain impression. You understand? So, but apart from that, my personal view is and has always been that this issue goes to the very foundation of our Constitution, our rights to associate with the good that we want. And my view is that Ghana Bar Association is a club. But it's a fact.
I get it. I'm just
there should not be any obligation on anybody.
Yeah. I can't just wait to see in the future when GBA and whatever law association that will come up, the contrasting views they will have on issues. But it'll be interesting to see.
And also, we have to look at the acting Chief Justice's statement in context. The statement was not supporting them in any way. He, even before he became acting Chief Justice, has been on the General Legal Council for a long time. He's very committed to discipline within the bar. And what he said is, to us, it means we must have a certificate from the General Legal Council So when you say that you are going to make a representation to the General Legal Council for recognition and licensing, it will be in the right direction, because all that you are interested in at the General Legal Council is that you will possess your license. Because if you act in any way as a legal club without the necessary license, you will fall foul of the General Legal Council. So his was an admonition that adhere to the laws.
But doesn't that also go to the core of the writ at the Supreme Court, saying that the Bar Association in its current form cannot be the one the Constitution is referring to? Because if you say that, well, yes, you have to come and get a license. And these guys are also challenging the GBA in court, the Supreme Court, which the same person was saying that, yes, you have to come to us for license, is going to empanel. Then people will raise eyebrows, say, but you're going to sit on this matter. If before you even sit on the case, you are saying that, yeah, you have to come for license, and that will mean that you're taking a certain kind of position on this case, not so?
No, not necessarily, because having the license gives you the license to operate as a lawyers' club. Even the various political parties, the CPP, for example, we have the Constitution and Legal Affairs Committee, of which I've been the secretary for many years, which consists of the lawyers within the CPP. I know NDC too has the NDC lawyers.
Don't look at me. Sorry. So the movement also has him.
Sorry?
So the movement also has
they also have something. You know, so these clubs exist. But if you want to go beyond a certain remit, because in the case of CPP, it's just a committee, so you don't need the license. But they getting the license, it's separate from them saying that the Ghana Bar Association has a monopoly. They are totally different issues. So I don't think there's an issue.
Okay, anyway.
Really, I think the issue that people are raising is the fact that in the Constitution, I think Article 157,
yes,
there's so many other laws where they want a legal representation.
It mentions the Ghana Bar Association.
Yes. You understand? Yeah. I think that's the issue.
Yes, because that's the challenge, that the Ghana Bar Association in the Constitution does not only mean the GBA in its current form.
Whether current
to enjoy that
current monopoly. So then the question is, can you be a lawyer in this country without joining the GBA, or are you mandated as a lawyer to join the GBA? Because from what they are saying, unless you are a lawyer who is a member of the GBA, you can't be considered for any of the. So I think that's what people are questioning. It's a very fair. So then the issue becomes, let's say if these people form their club, the Ghana what's called
Ghana Law Society.
Yes, and they want a lawyer per Article 157. Would mean that if you're a member of the Ghana Law Society, despite the fact that you are a lawyer, you will not be considered. I don't know if
yeah.
So yeah, I feel that is a fair discussion. Is a very fair issue to be discussed, and let's see how it goes.
Anyway, let's see how it goes, as you've said. But let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, it says, "We'll push for Africa reparation. Exploitation of Africa's resources must end. Mahama. Illegal miners on rampage take over Gredco sites." It comes with a picture of Frank Esirifi Ochre. Woman 42 dies in Galamsey pit. Ooh. And NADMO officer found dead in river. Now, if we turn to the page 6 of the paper, it says President John Dramani Mahama has called for Africa to assert sovereignty over its natural resources as a surest path to financing its development and protecting the dignity of its people. Addressing the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, in New York yesterday, President Mahama lamented the steep decline in global humanitarian aid, warning that African countries could no longer depend on external assistance to fund their socio-economic needs. Now, Prof, how do we move from this to acting? I mean, we've seen that Ghana recently, Azuma Resources also had to then relinquish voluntarily there, because I'm told that this partnership started way before, to Engineers and Planners, which we all know is an indigenous Ghanaian company. If you listen to the president, I mean, is Ghana on a way to putting action to these words? And how do we ensure that we sustain this?
Well, I think it's on the President Mahama's speech, the 80th section of the United Nations General Assembly. And I enjoyed the headline that he spoke on, the topic, Africans' role in the future of
the world,
the organization. Okay. Yeah. But he laid a strong foundation on the issue about the formation, that out of the 51 member states or so, it began with about 4 countries: Ethiopia, Egypt, South Africa, and I think Liberia. But over the years, we have grown in terms of our numbers. So we play a major role in this organization. So we are doing so well as a continent. Mm. And from what you're reading, I also have a similar, might not be the same topic headline that I have here, exploitation of African resources. Okay. I can link this to what I have here. But to answer your question, before I come to that issue, you know, we have played a major role in the world stage. Exploitation of African resources. We have gone through a lot of issues over the period. He also mentioned about reparation, that things that have been taken away from us should be returned to us. How to end this? It takes time. It takes time because we don't exist as just a fraction of the world. We are part of other countries and the world as well. So if you want to end exploitation, it takes time. But the point is that there must be an end at a point in time.
Yeah, but
that is why...
Then we have to start from somewhere too.
It must begin. And I have enjoyed the call that we should have an end to this. But let me bring you back to the statement.
I'll come there, but if you listen to his point, that and he says the president urged African countries to take firmer control of their natural resources and renegotiate better terms with foreign investors. He stressed that while Africa will continue to welcome external investment, so we're not closing the door to them, the era of, quote, parceling out vast concession areas to foreign interests for exploitation must end.
Then I'm sure we must go back to our laws that we have in our country. That's where we have to begin this one from.
Okay.
Getting more investment into our country is the key. In fact, we have depended on other support over the years. But if we are to have more investment coming into our country, the question is that we must prepare ourselves for such investment. Are we prepared for? So there are certain things we need to do locally to be able to attract all these investment into our country.
But we know that natural resource exploitation is not easy. It's capital intensive. How do we build our economy such that our economies can support the indigenization of these exploitation of these resources? For example, if we have to go into the drilling of oils and we are saying that Africans must do it, how do we prepare our economy such that they can support those kind of things?
If you want someone to come and support you, your economy, you must lay the foundations for them. Which foundations have we prepared for them to come and support us? We can't get this equipment on our own. Of course, we bring them from other foreign countries.
Yes.
Giving concessions, giving lands. It didn't start today, years ago. My challenge is that those laws that we have must be looked at again, especially concessions. We've now sent our ally to Parliament for approval. I mean, trying to stop issuance of other lands. These are some of the things that locally we can also do to prevent some of this. Yeah, but exploitation of African resources did not start today.
Yes.
There must be an end to this.
But
they keep exploiting our resources.
How do we get our financial system? I ask it because the capital requirement of operating a mine, operating an offshore drilling, it's huge. If we say that we're looking at our current financial system, can it support it? If it can't, what must we do? Must it be government support? Must it be all Africans coming together to establish sort of an African bank that can really support, give a financial muscle to Africans to then own these assets?
If you look at the various financial positions of various banks in Ghana, if they don't have a synergy, it will be difficult to support even one oil company, the tallow and the rest. So sometimes, to go beyond that, there should be a synergy. There should be the PPA agreement, the private partnership as well. If you're able to pull all the resources, because one bank cannot support one oil company, like tallow. No, banks must come together. If we are unable to do that, then there's another route of using the PPA agreement to also do that. And I'm sure that's the best approach if we want to have resources. We cannot, as a country, do things. Because resources-wise, we are not there yet. We cannot shut our doors as well to other foreign investors who want to come in. And that is one of the things that we have to consider, prepare the grounds for them, and then they can also come in and help us. Okay. But before I even end on that, I'm interested in the quotes of the president when he talked about the slave trade must be recognized as a worst crime against humanity. I'm sure that links into this. If you permit me to do that.
Let's finish that. I'll come back to you so you take this. Lord Dankwa, I saw you nodding your head when he was speaking. Where do we start from, really, so that we get it right and not start on a wrong note?
And I think
because this is good that we own some of these things, but it has to be done right.
No, I think your question is excellent, and I think government must deliberately build the capacity of local businessmen. I don't know, there are so many examples in history of how all the so-called powerful economies, the USA, the Singapores, how all of them, and up to the smallest letter, all of them build their economies on the back of their governments deliberately supporting small and medium-scale enterprises in terms of their capacity, in terms of their technical capacity, but also in terms of their financial capacity. You understand? And it must be deliberate. You see, in any economy, the role government plays is in terms of the fiscal and the monetary. So government through policy can find a way of building these. In fact, last year when you listen to His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, I said last 2 years when he gave that speech at UPSA when he was launching his campaign, I think in his paragraph 65 or so, he spoke about the biggest problem, about the fact that he was tasked to solve the underlying problems that our economy was bedeviled with. And in his opinion, that the biggest problem was the size of informal sector. We also know that the SMEs that I'm saying that the government needs to help. You understand? The government can use incentives and to get this large informal sector to be formalized. For instance, let's say government does what we call, let's say, a government loan guarantee scheme, and says that if you are SME, I'm giving you, I've posted a loan guarantee scheme with the Bank of Ghana and the banks, and that if you are formalized, if you have the right structures, government is going to support you. You understand? How many of these informal companies, because they are informal because they are not registered, they don't have structures, would quickly not want to be formalized? You understand? Because when you take the case of the USA, after the Second World War, you know, the Second World War came on the back of the Great Depression. So for close to 20 years, the economy tanked. Now, how did they manage to turn around the economy to the extent that the 50s and 60s are known as the baby boom where there was massive prosperity in the US. It was through a law, the Small Business Act, led and passed by a soldier, Dwight Eisenhower, that created the small business agencies in the US. So when you go to the US, every small district, there's a small business agency, where in fact, even Ghanaian immigrants who have relocated to the US, who want to do business, have benefited from, and they are now millionaires. In fact, an argument can be made that the strength of the US economy, when you take away all the things that happened in the 19th century, the slavery, but post the Second World War, was as a result of that one single policy passed in the 50s. You understand? So during Nana Akufo-Addo's time, they started this business resource centers across the districts. That and the essence was to give what's called that kind of capacity building. In fact, it was a policy led, supported everything by Alan Chimantin. You understand? Now, unless Ghana deliberately, and it must be deliberate and intentional, finds a way of deliberately building Ghanaian SMEs, you understand, then we will not have the capacity to compete with the international players to the extent of Ghanaians then being the driving force of our desire to take control. Like Ichapo said, the commanding heights of our natural resources. Because it boils down to money. Yeah. Also, government must deliberately find a way of building our intermediary system. When I say the intermediary, I mean the banks, the insurance companies, venture capital. Very critical. It must be deliberate. You understand? So for me, I think it can be done, but it will need a deliberate. So we talk. This one I was listening to Joy, and I heard one of was it Winston talk about we eat with our mouth. I agree with him 100%. We will do this. Oh, tomorrow we'll do this. Oh, also I'm going to read land. Oh, tomorrow I'll read it this way. The next day I'll read it that way. And we are we're still So your question, the reason your question is excellent is because we need to start this conversation. So we are talking about so many things, but we need to start a conversation about government deliberately building the capacity of Ghanaian enterprises. Because that's the only way we can take control of. Otherwise, so we will talk about FDIs, they come. Yes, but capital flight and all the other issues. You see, clearly that they're just in here, take the money and go to their country. But it will happen because we do not have the capacity, and government has failed to build the capacity of Ghanaians who want to. In fact, I dare say, in this country, they punish people for even attempting to do. You go to, and let me give you a typical example. So we have the Forestry Commission, whose mandate is to manage all our forests, and underneath it we have the TIDD, we have the Forestry Service Division. Their service division, their job is to facilitate, enhance timber business. You get a picture. In Ghana right now, most of the timber around are owned by private people. But it is right that when you want to exploit it, at least there must be some system that will regulate you, and that is FSD. Ask the people who have their own plantations that when they want to go and harvest their plantation, what happens?
Their own plantation.
The system itself stifles you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, in fact,
the system itself stifles you. It stifles you. So when you've invested your resources to plant trees, then the system that is meant to facilitate to the benefit of every single Ghanaian. Because the mind is sometimes I think that the businessman. No, but government takes taxes, you create jobs. Because this Galamsey issue that we're having, people are making arguments which I don't agree with at all, about the the livelihood issue. That's no. It can't be an argument for why Galamsey should come. But beyond that, if you're talking about livelihood, then one of the easiest way of solving that livelihood issue is government finding a way of enhancing timber business in these communities. Because beyond it restoring the land, there's also an economy to it. that the government agencies that have been set up with our own taxpayers' money, and in line with the agenda of the nation, in our constitution, our right to own property, these government agencies will frustrate you.
Yeah.
You understand? And so then how are we going to take control of the commanding heights of our economy? It needs to be deliberate, it needs to be urgent.
Yeah.
And I thank you for asking this question. And I think that we need to find a way of causing a serious conversation to be had, because government is stifling our potential. Government is stifling, and when I say government, I don't mean MPP, NDC, I mean government.
The machinery. We have public servants and
they are stifling private enterprise, and it does not bode well for the country.
I mean, when you talk about government being deliberate, we recently know of the story of the oligarchs, right? The Russian oligarchs. We are told it was a deliberate system that created those people. To say, take over the natural resources and rather go into the world. That's how Abramovich even was able to buy Chelsea. Because the Russians backed him, you know. And if you listen to the China story, so deliberate to create millionaires. And we are even talking about the natural resources space. You know that in the retail space, foreigners, especially the Chinese and the Indians,
they've taken over.
I tell you,
they've taken over.
And we've not averted our minds to their story. The number of money they pull out of this country is huge.
But you see, let me just add this. So when a Ghanaian wants, because you see, without serious financial support from our intermediary system, you simply will not have the capital to venture and do it well.
Yes.
You understand? Now, what's the cost of financing in Ghana? So the cost is about almost 40%.
Yeah.
The Indian, they go to their, and in fact, I don't even need to go to India. You just go to Ivory Coast and Togo. The cost of financing there is about 5%. You understand? So this AFCTA that was championed and led by our own Ghana's own Alan Chamantin from our headquarters here. How are we going to compete when the cost of financing in our country is over 40%? The cost of financing in other African countries is 5%.
Yeah.
You see, we need to be deliberate. We need to build millionaires and billionaires, and government has the capacity, the ability to do that. And when I say government, let me add, I'm not talking about the political government. I'm talking about like forestry service division. I'm talking about all the agencies that we've created to facilitate Business and Minerals Commission and all these people. They must be up and doing.
But when it comes to finance, the BOG.
The BOG, exactly.
The reason why, when you come to even the food space, Ghanaian companies cannot compete with the international in terms of pricing. Is that the cost of borrowing itself for the business?
Exactly.
The only places at a certain point. So sometimes when I hear people say, but your rice is Ghana rice, why is it at this cost and this rice is at this cost? And I'm like, you need to know that I am operating in this country as you are. How much are you borrowing? How much am I borrowing? How much is the person bringing this rice borrowing in this country? He is even being supported by his government. So of course, when it comes to price, I cannot, but I can give you quality. That's the only thing. So if we really want to have that fair playing ground, then we need to look at how we can make cost of production in this country low, because that's how we do it, and it must be deliberate with deliberate policies, else we won't go anywhere.
It's difficult sometimes when we want to talk about all this. Various arguments, various suggestions, but at the end of the day, we go back to sleep. If you want to correct the wrongs, the past, I'm sure there are a lot of models across the globe that we can even have and study. The likes of Singapore started with this. The likes of Malaysia. And the models are there. So truly, if you want to have solutions to this, and Amapi said, exploitation of African resources must end. How do we end it?
That's the proposal. But just like Lawyer Apia said, he said that he listened to Winston now. We weed with our mouth, but we don't do anything. We're saying that. So we need to now put bring actions to our words. He has given the forestry example. The people have been put in place to ensure that when Ghanaians are doing businesses, we do it and do it well and have that free will to do it. How do they do it? They stifle us rather. They make doing business in Ghana so hard. It's like difficult.
It's like they are fighting with you. It's a crime that wants to venture into business.
You are my enemy because you are doing business. And which of course should not be so. Because if you really want to reduce unemployment, it is not government.
No,
it's the private sector. So you need to enable the private sector to work to create that employment
deliberately,
because we can create it, not the private sector.
From all the submissions, it appears we know the solution. But no, I'm saying that as a country, we know the solution.
Prof, I've read it so many times. The biggest issue,
no, we are not doing it.
The biggest issue I had with the previous regime, and I just want to use them as an example. It's not that other regimes have not done the same thing. This regime may also find themselves in the same situation. So when you take something like the energy sector recovery program, when you read a document, excellent. Personally, I don't have an issue with what the energy sector recovery program, as in what they wrote. They also did another with how to do proper decentralization. Go and read the document. All excellent. Now, the issue is, the problem we are facing is lack of commitment. That was why what Winston said this morning, in fact, I must comment with Winston for what he said this morning about we reading with our mouth. What's the biggest issue we have is a fundamental lack of commitment. We know there's a solution. In fact, after the world, as in, the world, and it's interesting the president brought this thing up. Historically, the world changed in the 15th century. So everything every problem we think we are facing has been faced by some other people, probably by even ourselves. As in when I say ourselves, I mean as the people, Africa. As the people, and we've solved it. So of course, if we want the solutions, how they in abundance. In Singapore came to study from us.
Oil palm production.
Came to
study. Very good model.
Indeed, Rwanda. So another they came to study how Rwanda in terms of the organization of their institutions, so like their company registry. They came to learn from Ghana, Rwanda. I don't even go far. Rwanda, we are praising. Rwanda.
They came to take it from us.
Yes.
And I'm being told by my director that Singapore actually took our development plan.
And went
So that's why I'm quiet.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. I have opened our development plan here. There's a disparaging remark said about a black man that I don't like repeating. But I'll repeat it here. Said if you want to hide something from the black man,
put it
in a book.
I have a soft copy of the 7-year development plan. I read very often. Yes. Chapter 12, foreign trade and payments. Chapter 13, financing of the development plan. Everything we need to do is here. Everything we need to do is here. But on May 17th, 1966, after the coup, we threw all this away. Went to the IMF. We've gone to the IMF 17
times.
But the solution is here.
Very
itemized, very detailed solution right here.
All these past years.
It's here. It's here. I've opened it here. Chapter 12 and chapter 13. Foreign trade and payments. Financing of the plan. Why don't we go back to this? It's enumerated here. Bank of Ghana, commercial banks, NIB, insurance and pension funds, source of funds, internal contribution to Ghana's development. You also have external contribution. You see, your economy has to be strong in itself in order to be able to benefit from external sources. We built the Akosombo Dam. We had some assistance from the West. But we got that assistance in a strong position. What did we give up for that? You understand me? The solution is here. You see, but as my brother said, we weed with our mouth. We tend to panic and then, we are failing. Let's clutch at the straws. Now we've clutched at the straws for the 17th time. I was listening to an interview by this revered commentator and CEO of Delex Finance, Mr. Joe Jackson, who said that South Korea has also been to the IMF 17 times. However, anytime they go to the IMF, they come back stronger. We come back weaker. The fiscal discipline is missing. We panic and we just flail all around like a drowning person. There's nothing wrong with fiscal discipline. You see, we have to do it for the sake of posterity. And he also proposed some solutions, including the 24-hour economy. We have the chance to exercise this fiscal discipline and at the same time sacrifice our time and resources for the sake of posterity. But it is difficult for us to do. We feel that why should we suffer for future generations? But one generation has to pay the price.
Yes.
One generation has to pay the price. And let us pay that price. Let us pay that price. And know that one day somebody else will enjoy. We may not enjoy.
Your own children.
Our children will enjoy. Let us do it with a united front. I mean, bygones are bygones. It hurts me to bring up the coup makers from the 1960s because we are all related. The funny thing is that some of the children of the coup makers married some of my relatives. So sometimes we meet and we are like, it is your people who cause this problem. It's like, well, I'm related to you also. So we're all brothers and sisters. Let's put aside that acrimony. Let us unite for the sake of our children.
But you see, until we learn to put action to words, until we learn to implement the beautiful policies we have sitting in books in this country, we will not go anywhere. Because like you said, the solution is there. When you go to prof school right now, students have done beautiful researches. Where are they? They are sitting in shelves. Doing nothing. They are gathering that.
They should even be published.
You know, so we learn to act.
And also, under something that we over-personalize things here in terms of our politics. You see, politics is a debate of ideas. It's not about a human being. And so, like, because this policy is a criminalist policy, it was thrown away. And over the years, we found cases of government coming and without interrogating the strength of policies. So, like, this government has come and they've thrown away the 1D1F without interrogating.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. Which is something I protested right on this show. That you can build on the 1D1F.
And so many other policies. Because if we are saying that the issue largely is about lack of commitment and not about the strength or not of the policies. You understand? Then this, I've come, so I'm throwing this away. I've come to reintroduce.
Throwing up the 1D1F was a big mistake.
You understand? So let's stop this. Like, and come here, fantastic. I stand with you on all forces. This, you are CPP, you are NDC, you are. It's meaningless. At the end of the day, we are Ghanaians. We are Ghanaians. And then we claim that we form political parties because we want to forge that one Ghana agenda. You understand? Why should where the idea is coming from be a reason for implement? So my brother Boidi here, we are not in the same party. Boidi is a very smart guy. He brings an idea because it's coming from Mr. Prof. Boidi. We won't implement it. No.
Okay.
If we don't even discuss any topic, I don't know where you got this question from. But quite insightful.
The Holy Spirit.
I don't know. We have become victims of our own woes as we sit here again. I chanced on a book on African Watch, and it was a statement by Adichum, one of the presidential candidates, the MPP. He asked a question, very interesting question. He said, when was the last time we had GRA going into someone's shop, telling the person, I have come today to educate you, to let you know opportunities beyond Ghana, beyond, I found this in Sierra Leone. I found business opportunities. Rather, when they fail to pay their taxes, they lock their shops.
And even tell the person why he has to pay the tax. Because some people just open their eyes to the opportunities available to them when they pay their taxes, and they will. But we don't do that. We'd rather shut you down.
Yeah.
And it's like a crime to form your own business. So how do you get the basis prepared for these investors to come in? It's difficult. So I think it's a conversation that must not end. Even if we don't discuss things beyond it, I'm sure it's enough for the day. But we still can go through.
There was a book I read by an American millionaire, and he made a point about the fact that governments are the ones with opportunities to create millionaires. Because for a government, when a government decides to say, I'm going to make you damn quite rich, all the government needs to do is to say, I've given you this contract.
Exactly.
This is the money. Just go and make sure you deliver the service. What you make on it is your money. And my director just whispered that government is the largest spender, and it's true. So government is the one which can decide to say, I am moving from just talk to ensuring that we become actors. So Dankwa has raised an issue about how the Forestry Commission is not really helping the timber industry. And when I was growing up, the timber industry was so huge then than it is today. Why is it that case? Because certain things have happened that didn't help the industry. Certain industries have collapsed. There was a man I knew in Takrade. I'm sure he's watching us now. He got all his wealth from the timber industry.
Power grant, they suppose.
Exactly.
Power grant was a timber merchant.
You know, so government needs to know that the lot of the talk with that action will not help all of us. Let's start from somewhere.
We even have Boachima Trust and the beauty from the 60s. From the 60s. I mean, he was helped. The state created an enabling environment for people like him to thrive through his mattress business, and many people benefited.
And the beauty about the timber thing is that it is renewable. Gold, what we are chasing is swollen. It's not gold. When you take that, so that we are swollen. Right now, the akontumri, I like kontumri. Kontumri, the mercury kontumri alone.
I was so sad.
Now, if we just shifted a bit of the focus on timber, because that is renewable. That is renewable. You understand? But I'm telling you, they're stifling business, timber business in this country.
So government must look at that and say, what can we do right? For example, if someone is in a business, and let me use there's a group called the Microcredit Association in Ghana. What they do is that if they see that you are operating a business and you're not registered, they come to you and try to bring you under the umbrella and regularize you. I think that should be the approach. So if you see someone doing a business and the person needs help to regularize, to pay taxes, to pay SNET, go to the person and help the person do it. Because at the end of the day, the money comes to government, it generates revenue, right? There shouldn't be any interest in saying, I'm going to collapse you, because then there are 3, 4 people, 5 that have been employed. You collapse that business. What do you get? So government needs to really look at approaches and say, let's rethink, let's go back and start afresh. People have done it. Singapore, they did it with our blueprint. Rwanda, you mentioned, did it with our blueprint. Why are we the ones rather suffering?
I know the interesting thing, and they're not thinking about it. You know that when every company declares profit, government automatically has 25% stake in that profit. Any company in this country that declares profit, must give government, I think, 25%. So that what it means is that if you have more companies that are very profitable, that are doing well, government has a fourth
revenue,
a fourth share. So indeed, it is in the interest of government to see its businesses thrive. It's in there, because you see, when you talk about all economic problems and you want to bring it down, our biggest issue are one, lack of revenue mobilization, lack of foreign exchange. It was called the inflows. So we have the prof here. We have a problem with revenue mobilization. We have a problem with exchange rate inflows.
You don't mobilize revenue.
And how do you mobilize the revenues? It's not revenue. It's not like leaves on the trees.
That you plumb.
It's the businesses that will generate for you. And so if that's how you are going to make the chunk of your money, and if you are a sensible government, what would you do? You ask a primary policy, deliberately build businesses. Because that's how you are going to make your money.
Yeah.
To undertake all the but you are there stifling the businesses, and then you could, every instance you run to, and if they give you some small money, throw some small money out.
So wouldn't the biggest opponent against us realizing all of this be corruption? But for corruption, won't we realize all of this? If someone thinks that, well, I can take, say, $100,000 from someone and stifle the growth of probably businesses in Ghana, the person will take it and rather stifle the growth.
I think the biggest problem is the mindset.
The mindset,
because the governments, you see, what we do, as I said, we don't have a democracy. What we do is a power struggle. So they want the power and they want to control everybody. You understand? So they feel that if you need to region one hasn't, so that they can control you. So now they're flowing from that mindset thing, will then bring the issue of the corruption, and so we need to understand that the power. Say we are struggling for power. No, you are struggling for that power to serve. It's a service. You understand? But immediately we stop seeing political power or the purpose of political power as a tool to serve, and rather see it as a power to be used
to intimidate.
And to propagate your personal, your parochial agenda. Then issues of, and it even goes beyond corruption. I mean, when you think you are serving and you are constructing rules, all these crazy accidents and stuff, why would a politician take money and go to construct road and not construct the road? If your thinking is to save, as against power to lord, you understand? Then there'll be a burden on you to do the road so well that the mandate on you to protect our lives, because that's a mandate on you to guarantee, and that is not about, but that mandate that you are guaranteeing my life includes create a system where hospitals, so everything that you do, that will give me the quality of life you do, but the mindset is wrong. Yeah, we think that we are taking the power, and then we use the word power. It's a power struggle that we are doing. Exactly. We are not doing democracy. Exactly. It's a power struggle. And so unless we change the mindset, there's a radical change of the mindset, then all these issues about corruption, we can't deal with it. But once the purpose for which people want power is not to serve, but to advance their own interests, then issues like corruption and things can never be dealt with.
And let me add something with that, in that, you know, on JoyNews, in an interview, Lexis Bill and Stephen Blewett, CEO of MTN, he said, you occupy the chair, you don't own it, stay humble. We should realize that every position we occupy, it's temporary.
Yes.
We are there to serve that institution, to let it grow. You are not there to lord it over. You see, I look at the success of MTN, the largest taxpayer in Ghana. He said, you occupy the chair, you don't own it. We should realize that there's even somebody out there who may even do a better job than us. It's a privilege. Shine, brighten the corner where you are. Leave it better for the next person to also build on. Then one day it becomes solid and unbreakable.
Okay. To a prof, like prof here is watching us now, he says, the problem with Africans, we like to talk, but put action to the talk, just as we have been saying here. He says South Africa is creating black industrialists through public expenditure and are not apologetic about it. Ghana can do the same. So the public is rather enabling the people to become wealthy. Because when you do it, the money stays in South Africa. If you, Dankwa, for example, becomes wealthy, every investment he does, his money will not be stuck somewhere. They'll be here.
And he's already wealthy and he's helping a lot.
God bless him.
He says, action
God bless his wife.
He says, action and accountability is a key. Nobody can progress Ghana except Ghanaians. Then he says, fraud and corruption are both bad for society, but fraud is worse. There is a difference.
That's very deep.
Very deep.
Beyond the advice.
I don't know if Prof wants me to mention his name, but Prof wants me to put your name on it. You can tell me about.
Beyond the advice, we are all trying to proffer, telling the government what must be done in terms of preparing the grounds to attract all this investment, I was happy you mentioned issue about corruption. And it's a canker where we find ourselves now. You know, it's a gradual change and renewal of the mind. And I was happy when the Ghana Education Service, in their syllabus, there was something moral something. I've forgotten.
Moral and education.
Moral
MNE.
Yeah. I'm sure it is time for us to start
educating. No, it's RME, religious and moral education.
Yeah. It is time for us to, still trumpeting this. Educating the young folks. If at our age, it's difficult to correct some of us, let's start from that generation and see what happens. Because all this that we are talking about, corruption plays key role in some of the issues that we are talking about. And he was talking about the filing of taxes to Ghana Revenue Services. And any company that is established, automatically, when the business is doing well, the government gets 25% in terms of taxes. So which means that when we encourage these businesses, they grow.
Yeah.
We have 20% proportion or so to take to the government. But the point is that the same individuals, the same in companies, sometimes go and see the number of financial statements they prepare.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 or 3. One to be given to GRA, filing of taxes. One to controller. Different financial reports are prepared. So that's where it starts from. Corruption. We should start this championing the M&A, moral,
RME.
Starting from this
ME,
because that is where we'll be honest, and we have a generation that will be able to take.
Okay. So the contributor was Professor Douglas Boating.
Okay.
Professor Douglas Boating is an ardent viewer of the AM show. So that's it there. Now, if you let me just do a quick of this, and then we can call it a day here. I want to bring in. Why can't I see this from our own man, Kwabena Bonfe? Okay, you know Kwabena Bonfe also has a paper, the National Forum. On the front page it says, "Aiko to shreds Puaman, IMF returns to Ghana. Review of economic and social reforms. Government complicit in illegal mining fights." They're asking a question there. So let me deal with the front pages and then we can go. Coming over to you, what do you have?
So I have the Ghanaian Times. We have Reform Security Council. President Mahama demands at the United Nations General Assembly.
Okay.
And we also have Fighting Galamsey needs chiefs' powers, not just laws, said Sam Jonah. We have Ghana launches National Energy Compact for Reliable Energy. And finally, government injects 2 billion Ghana cedis into District Assembly's Common Fund by Her Excellency, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jean.
And I was hoping that this 2 billion would have gone into a private entity, just like we're discussing here, you know. Yes. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, so
what do you have?
Mahama presses UN on slave trade recognition.
Okay.
Prof. Kwesi Yankah writes, farewell, River Yensu. That's that.
Oh,
farewell.
You have to read it. You have to read it. I saw it here.
So you want to read it?
Oh, no.
Auku rejects NLA misuse allegations.
Yes, Prof.
Because I have the Observer and then the BFT. What I have here is slave trade must be recognized as a worst crime against humanity. That's by our president. It's on page 2. And then education will be the cornerstone of my leadership. That's Dr. Adichum.
Okay.
And then we have one very interesting one. My presidency will pay you back. That's Brian Champon to MPP grassroots.
Okay.
The last one, conspiracy to jail Atoforson, Japan petition CID. That's on the page 3. But the last one is a very interesting one. ADB returns to profits in 2024 after 822 million loss. Yeah,
all right.
I'm sure.
That is a good one. The News Center says impact sustainability key to project selection. MTN Foundation Chair. Access Bank Ghana appoint Pearl Nkrumah as new MD. President Mahama blames rich nations for migration crisis. And asthma petitions minister to strip Handa families Ghanaian citizenship. Embrace, invest in AI now or risk irrelevance in the digital revolution, Mopita says. The Ghanaian, the Insight, Mahama speaks on Palestine. China salutes SMG over successful National Congress, backs demand for reparations payment, and Ghana Law Society hails new judicial independence under Bafo Boni. Rescue Ghana Sports, Skillsman Tornado proposes collaboration of education and sports ministries, and Socialist Movement of Ghana strides forward from collectives to campaigns. Yeah, we're wrapping. Let me just take your concluding remarks and then we'll go. Yes. Okay, so my just my concluding remarks goes back to related to what I said at first. It's a timely reminder. Let's support His Excellency in his call for reparations. And if you allow me to go a bit non-political, since it's my concluding remark, there's a wonderful young lady who is 4 today, Judith Rosa Nyamiye Ampunsabunsu, my niece. And I wish her a wonderful birthday. May she grow up to be a wonderful, hardworking, intelligent woman like her mother. Okay. All right then. Thank you.
So on to score. So the first one is a call on all of us as Ghanaians, all of us. That in 1957 we came together as a people and we had a mandate to build a country of Africans, to prove to the world that after all the black man is capable of managing his affairs. We must bring life to this profound statement. Yes, all of us, led by government, we must deliberately build systems, must deliberately build human beings that have the capacity to create wealth and create a system where all of us will be placed in a better position of fulfilling our individual ambitions. But in the spirit of birthdays, tomorrow is the birthday of my oldest son. Your oldest son? Yes, Eja Kofi Nyamiche Afianankwa. Okay. I wish extraordinary blessings on him. Amen. Amen. May he grow up to become a great man like his namesake. I didn't know after my father. Okay. In the spirit of building businesses, I hope that government will learn from the discussion today and not be so much interested in collapsing businesses, but rather helping businesses to grow. Prof.
Yeah, also on Onga, statement by the President. If you look at the thematic areas in his speech, he made about 9. Solid. And then the last one was a strong stances on Cuba, Gaza, and Sudan, calling for peace and all that. I would have loved, maybe when they get the next opportunity. You know, UN is a platform to champion peace and prosperity. Local issues also, you mentioned. Okay. Yeah. All right. Crisis, the other, if those things are beyond our control, I'm sure the government, when it gets an opportunity like that, I can also let the world know. Okay. Our 13,000 Ghanaians who are
okay. All right. Worrying. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Now, Manche Bruce II in Takrady says, great discussion so far. As citizens of Ghana, it behoves us to anchor our national ethos upon the principles of service, selflessness, and sacrifice. The implementation of innovative initiatives and the pursuit of industrial progress by successive government hold considerable potential to reshape our nation's trajectory, expanding the tax base and uncovering novel opportunities as opposed to imposing undue burdens upon businesses and individuals could serve as a catalyst for broader economic participation and growth. Manche Bruce II in Takrady. We're joined by Professor Isaac Bodi, Dean, Accounting and Finance, UPSA, also by lawyer Apia Dankwa. He's a spokesperson for the Movement for Change and also a lawyer as well. And then lawyer Nkrumah Botio is also the General Secretary of the CPP and a lawyer. Thanks very much for doing the viewing. I hope that you continue the discussion wherever you are and let's help build Ghana the way we want it to be. Stay on, there's more to come your way on the AM Show.
Considering the collective role that Africa played in its founding, which was small and relatively insignificant. Of the 51 member states involved in the founding of the United Nations in 1945, only 4 were African: Egypt, Ethiopia, Liberia, and South Africa. It is important to point out that the United Nations came into being in the aftermath of World War II because of the inability of its predecessor, the League of Nations, to avert a large-scale global conflict, which had been its guiding purpose when it was founded in 1920 at the end of the First World War. Out of the 42 founding member states of the League of Nations, only 3 were African: Liberia, the Union of South Africa, and Ethiopia. Egypt was to join later in 1937. Africa's overall participation in the organization's founding was minimal and relatively unimportant. That's because before all the other talks and meetings, representatives from a group of 14 nations gathered in Berlin for a series of discussions that began in 1884 and which led to the partitioning and formal colonization of the African continent, which is also called the Scramble for Africa. It has famously been written that past is prologue. Well, in the past, the majority of the 54 nations that now comprise Africa were never offered a seat at the table where plans for a new world order were being drawn. But, Madam President, as fate would have it, the tables are turning, and Africa's role in the authorship of whatever is yet to come for this world is going to be huge, and it will be consequential. According to this organization's own projections, by the year 2050, more than 25% of the world's population is expected to come from the African continent. Additionally, by 2050, 1/3 of all young people aged between 15 to 24 will be residing on the African continent. So you see, the future of this world is African. Allow me to say this once again a little louder for those of you in the back. The future is African. Already today, Africa is a catalyst for human potential and development, as well as for economic reform and ecological stability. Africa is a catalyst for systemic change. If this reality, which is fact-based and straightforward, seems provocative or unsettling, perhaps it's because you are viewing it through the lens of centuries of filters, colonialism and imperialism, and the resulting implicit bias. Maybe you are unaware of the resilience of African nations or their remarkable ability to make a strong comeback just when you think it's safe to count them out. That is what is happening right now in my own country, Ghana. Our constitution limits leaders to 2 4-year terms. In January, I was sworn in for a second term, which, let me point out, was non-consecutive with my first term. Our currency, the Ghana cedi, was rapidly depreciating. Faced with rising inflation, a huge debt burden, and low morale amongst our citizens, my new administration settled down quickly and embarked on an ambitious program of comprehensive transformation designed to restructure Ghana's economic foundation and enhance our competitive standing globally. We refer to this process of recalibration as our reset agenda. In just 8 months, we have achieved significant reduction in inflation from 23.8% in December 2024 to 11.5% in August 2025, restoring price stability for our citizens. Additionally, our currency, the Ghana cedi, has appreciated considerably against other currencies, with Bloomberg reporting it as the best performing currency in the world at one point. Our improved sovereign credit rating reflects increasing investor confidence in our economy. And our 24-hour economy initiative promises to transform our economy. And there's a renewed willingness amongst our people to trust that their elected officials have Ghana's interests at heart and that we're progressing together. Madam President, I believe that in honor of this milestone celebration, the United Nations should also embark on a process of serious recalibration and establish its own reset agenda. Since the organization's founding, the number of UN member nations has nearly quadrupled. And quite frankly, it is not the same world that it was back then when the UN was formed. I mentioned earlier that I began my second non-consecutive term as president this past January. My first term ended in January 2017. In that span of time, 8 years, the world has changed with such ferocity. My first days in office after my return felt as though I had just awakened from a Rip Van Winkle-style sleep. Now, no, that was only after 8 years. Imagine then what it will be like after 80 years since the founding of the United Nations. In 1945, the sun had not yet set on the largest empire in history. The most common mode of international travel was by sea. The personal computer had not been invented, let alone made portable. And television, a new convenience, was still in its infancy, albeit in black and white color. Relations between the US and the Soviet Union were turning frosty, with Winston Churchill declaring that an iron curtain has descended across the European continent. Fast track 80 years on. In today's world, hundreds of thousands of commercial flights take off and land every day. Libraries have been digitized so that volumes of literature can exist on a small device, small enough to fit inside your pocket. We live in a world of cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, social media, the internet and its dark hidden dungeon of the dark web, all of which carry a potential threat to global peace and security. Climate change is real, and we're fighting a losing battle against the loss of Maldives and other island nations to the rising sea level, against the loss of Timbuktu to desertification and the Amazon forest to global warming and deforestation. Madam President, the UN Founding Charter is outdated when it comes to representation in this august assembly. The most powerful post-World War II nations are still being rewarded with an almost totalitarian guardianship over the rest of the world. And yet, the first sentence in Chapter 2, Article 1 of the UN Charter declares that the organization, this was true, and was the case, a continent as large as Africa, with its numerous UN member states, would have at least one permanent seat on the Security Council. Furthermore, we believe that veto power should not be restricted to only 5 nations, nor should it be absolute. There must be a mechanism in this House for the General Assembly to challenge a veto. No single nation should be able to exercise an absolute veto to serve its own interests in a dispute. In 1995, during the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, Nelson Mandela stood in this very spot. And he said, the United Nations has to reassess its role, redefine its profile, and reshape its structures. It should truly reflect the diversity of our universe and ensure equity among the nations in the exercise of power within the system of international relations in general, and the Security Council in particular. I close quotations. 30 years later, we African leaders are still making the same simple request for a permanent seat on the Security Council with the power of a veto. So today, Madam President, I stand here in this exact spot and ask the world, if not now, then when? We demand not only a reform of the Security Council, but also a reset of the global financial architecture, which is currently rigged against Africa. Africa must have a greater say in the world's multilateral financial institutions. And while I'm making requests, I'd like to call for the removal of the blockade on Cuba. As Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our nation's founder, famously said, we seek to be friends with all and enemies to none. The Cuban people shed their blood on African soil in the fight against apartheid. And indeed, Cuba has been and continues to be a faithful friend of Africa. You see, the very fact that I can stand here and ask these things and say these things, and the fact that all nations can ostensibly gather here to address critical global issues, air our grievances, and express our concerns, that is what makes the survival of this organization so important. In every old city or village, you will find a town square, or a courtyard, or a plaza that once served as a gathering space for the citizens of the community and their leaders. Meetings and celebrations were held there, as were trials and elections. And these were spaces that brought people together and held them together as a community. Sadly, time and technology have eroded these spaces. Madam President, in many ways, the United Nations is the proverbial town square of our modern global village. And it has never been more critical for us to protect this one space that brings and holds the world nations together as a community. The internet, social media platforms, and artificial intelligence offer us the illusion of connectivity, when in fact what they do is reinforce isolation by using algorithms that ensure that we do not receive new ideas and perspectives, but rather more of the same content. We are served alternative facts and manipulated images, making it easy to disseminate disinformation and sow seeds of division amongst communities. Madam President, these are dangerous times. Our world is currently experiencing a rise in nationalism and economic instability. There's a general breakdown of multilateralism. Various acts of aggression have been committed against the sovereignty of others, and nations are attempting to circumvent the very safeguards that were put in place to prevent large-scale global conflict. These conditions are all too similar to the ones that led to the League of Nations' failure in fulfilling its mandate. The denial of visas to President Abbas and the Palestinian delegation sets a bad precedent and should be deeply worrying to all member nations of the United Nations. Ghana recognized the state of Palestine in 1988 and supported a two-state solution to the conflict since then. And I say, contrary to the claims of some, a two-state solution would not be a reward for Hamas. It would rather be a reprieve for the hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children and people who are facing collective punishment and forced starvation for no reason other than the fact that they are Palestinian. For nearly 2 years and for the fear of reprisals, we here in this General Assembly have been playing hide and seek with language to find the right words to help us avoid or excuse what we all know is taking place in Gaza. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, then it must be a duck. The crimes in Gaza must stop. The crimes in Gaza must stop. Madam President, I also want to draw particular attention to the conflict in Sudan, which this body has described as the world's largest humanitarian crisis. 12 million people have had to flee their homes. And when we speak of migration, we refer to the 12 million new Sudanese refugees, whom we as a global community should be willing to assist in much the same way that many member nations readily assisted new refugees coming out of Ukraine. Let's dispense with the euphemisms and dog whistles and speak frankly. It is not a mystery that when leaders of Western nations complain of their migration problems, they are often referring to immigrants from the global south. But many of those immigrants are climate refugees. And interestingly, the global north emits 75% more greenhouse gases than the global south. However, the effects of climate change are more severe in the global south because we lack the resources to address them effectively. And so when the desert encroaches on our villages and towns and they become unlivable, we are forced to flee. Warsan Shiri, a Somali-born prophet, a Somali-British poet born in Kenya to Somalian refugee parents, was London's first youth poet laureate. She writes in her poem titled Home. And it says, you have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one bends their palms under trains beneath carriages. No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck feeding a newspaper unless the miles traveled mean something more than just a journey. Madam President, we cannot normalize cruelty. We cannot normalize hatred. We cannot normalize xenophobia and racism. If we're going to tell a story, let's not tell it slant. Let's tell all the truth. When we speak of migrants, we speak of Mami Ewusi Mensah Frimpong, a judge on the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. She's the first black female judge on any of California's 4 federal district courts. She was born here in America to immigrant parents from Ghana. We speak of Peter Bosman, a medical doctor in Ghana who moved to the town of Piran in Slovenia in the 1980s and later became the first black mayor of Piran, the first black mayor in Slovenia and in the whole of Eastern Europe. We speak of T. Michael, the iconic Ghanaian Norwegian artist and designer. And of course, we speak of the late Kofi Annan, former United Nations Secretary General. Former United Nations Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize recipient, who was born in Ghana but spent his adulthood in various places in America and Europe. These are people who have brought great distinction to the countries that they decided to call home. Just as the migrants and the children of migrants before them did, I dare say these are not invaders, these are not criminals. Madam President, the slave trade must be recognized as the greatest crime against humanity. As the African champion on reparations, Ghana intends to introduce a motion in this August body to that effect. More than 12.5 million Africans were forcibly taken against their will and transported to create wealth for the powerful Western nations. We must demand reparations for the enslavement of our people and the colonization of our land that resulted in the theft of our natural resources, as well as the looting of artifacts and other items of cultural heritage that have yet to be returned in total. We recognize the value of our land and the value of our lives, as did our colonizers, as well as the governments that happily paid reparations to former slave owners as compensation for the loss of their property in quotes. And that property for which they received compensation was paid referred to enslaved people who had been freed. Madam President, an increasingly insecure world is witnessing upward spending on defense budgets of bilateral partners and steep cuts in official development assistance. Since July 2024, it is estimated that there's been a 40% drop in humanitarian aid globally. In this era of global uncertainty, Africa must exercise sovereignty over its natural resources to raise the necessary funds to ensure the well-being of its citizens. The days of parceling out vast concession areas to foreign interests for exploitation must come to an end. We'll continue to welcome foreign investment, but we must negotiate better for a bigger share of the natural resources that belong to us. And we must insist on value addition to these resources. We're tired of the continued image of poverty-stricken, disease-ridden rural communities living at the periphery of huge foreign-controlled natural resource concession areas. We're tired of having people extract the most they can from us and in return offer us the very least by way of respect, consideration, and dignity. We're tired of not being represented in ways that reveal the richness and complexity of our history or acknowledge all that we have overcome to arrive here in this liminal space of untold possibilities. Allow me to echo the Indian-American writer Arundhati Roy, who wrote, "Another world is not only possible, she's on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her briefing." I want to add that for the sake of Africa, and quite selfishly for the sake of my 18-year-old daughter, I hope that this new world that is arriving is a place of safety and equality for women and girls. To succeed, we must empower everyone, including women and girls, to reach their full potential. In closing, Madam President, I'd like to congratulate you on your election to preside over this historic 80th General Assembly and on being the 5th woman to hold this distinction. I'd also like to congratulate Her Excellency Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman on being the first woman Vice President of Ghana. Now every Ghanaian girl knows the heights to which she can ascend. Words matter, but issues of representation matter even more, which is why Ghana looks forward to the appointment of a woman as Secretary General of this organization in the near future. Madam President, Your Excellencies, I thank you for your kind attention.
Welcome back to the show. This is the AM show, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, we've got our friends from Ellie Green Women and Youth Agribusiness. Now, there's going to be an exhibition or a summit, I should say, later next month. And so our friends have joined us to tell us about it generally. We've got Prince Akwaku, Project Director, and I've also got Erekwa Hereford, Head of Exhibition, telling us everything that we need to know about this agribusiness exhibition and summit. Which one should I call you, Mr. Kwaku or Prince?
Prince is fine.
Prince is fine.
Yes.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me come to you and give us a bit of brief and scope about the Ellie Green Women and Youth Agribusiness. What is it about?
I'll let you request.
Okay. Erica, you want to tell us about it?
Okay. So, MFA, thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished viewers as well. So, Ellie Green Agribusiness is all about looking forward to helping people in the agricultural space, especially women and the youth as well. Yes. And this particular summit is coming on to help the women and youth because it's believed that both parties are the backbone of the agricultural sector. But as a matter of fact, in as much as they are the backbones, they face a lot of challenges with regards to they having limited access to lands, finance, and technology, markets, and all of that. That is why Ellie Green is here to help them find solutions to these problems. Yeah, so basically, that is it.
That's a nice concept. Would you want to tell me who is the brain behind this particularly?
The brain behind, Mr. Prince will do that.
Okay, yes. The brain behind is Madame Sophia Akwaku. She is a former MP for Domiabra Obom.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the real brain behind it.
Okay. How long has this? How long has it been?
The agriculture hub has been in existence for quite some time, a couple of years now. But the general idea of holding this particular exhibition and summit came up this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We decided to host it, to put together women and youth in agric and give them that opportunity to expand their scope.
Okay, so for the hub, you don't only do the exhibition and summit, you also have other things that you do.
Yes, we have other things. The exhibition and summit is just a part of it. What we want to do is to scale up agribusiness amongst women and the youth. What we're trying to do is take them forward, help them get finance, help them get access to markets, help them get extension officers, help them grow their business actually. So the exhibition and the summit is just
helps to aid you.
It's just an aid,
yeah,
yes.
Right. But how easy or difficult has it been for this object that you're telling me, at least to help accelerate them? How easy or difficult has it been?
Like we all know, agric, it hasn't been easy, especially for agric in this country. A lot of people think that it all has to do with labor. But then we can mechanize agric, and there are mechanized tools, and there's also technology which is available to help make agric easy. Yes.
Okay. Erica, let's talk about the exhibition, which I am curious about how many women or youth are you expected that day, and what will the exhibition look like? How would it look like?
Okay, so we are looking at about 5,000 participants.
That's huge.
Yes. These are the people we are looking forward to address. And it's known that the agri sector is one of the pillars that holds our economy down. And as it stands now, it's valued around $12 billion. Yes. But with a projection, it's later on to grow up until 18 billion. Yes. Somewhere around 2030.
Okay, that's just around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah, I can smell 2030 around the corner.
Yes. So it's really going to be transformative and informative as well. So it's not just any other event, but it's a national event that seeks to address a lot of issues. So
okay.
It's just nice for people to come on board.
What will these women and young people be exhibiting?
Okay. Mr. Prince.
Yeah, though various products, any agricultural product, anything that has to do with agribusiness. We've termed it not agriculture, but agribusiness. everything that involves the agriculture value chain, the processors, the aggregators, the manufacturers, those who sell the finished products, exporters, farmers. We're expecting all of them to be part of this particular.
Where is it happening?
It's happening at the Accra International Conference Center on the 13th and 14th of October. It starts at 10 a.m. each day.
10 a.m. each day till when? Till you drop?
Till you drop.
Okay. Now again, because you're the head of exhibition, I want to get a picture and let me in on some of the things he just told me, but some of the things I'll see. And if a person wants to be part of this exhibition, must they come from the former MP's constituency? I hear you say that it's a national event, but how can people also be part of this exhibition?
So everyone is actually welcome. You don't need to come from a particular constituency before you can be a part of it. But if you would want to join, there is a number to call to register.
Okay.
Yes, and that is 0244 081358, 0244 081358. Or you can also send an email to ellygreen72.co@gmail.com. ellygreen72.co@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Kwaku, for this exhibition, these exhibitors, when they come, of course, they get the opportunity to exhibit their farm produce, or, I mean, you have said that it's agribusiness. It's not just, it's also the processes, the aftermath of what you have harvested, right? What will be in it for them after the exhibition?
The general aim, I must say, is to increase rural incomes by providing value addition and market linkages, and then also to reduce gender and youth inequality, and then also to strengthen the local economies. What we intend to do, or we want to gain out of this, out of the exhibition, is to form the various linkages between those in agribusiness and the people that they need, that would help them to increase their processes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Ira, what kind of produce, what kind of people are registering? What maybe I'm asking is, what kind of businesses are registering to want to exhibit? What are the common ones that you have seen are showing interest in this exhibition?
Oh, okay. So it's actually not the finished products, not people who are into the finished products, but then right from scratch, yes. And those who are also like entrepreneurs who are also ventured into the agribusiness as well, they are also coming on board. They've showed interest because I think the youth nowadays believe in the white-collar job and all of that. But yes, I think this space...
It's not their fault. Uzakwaku was just telling us that it's very difficult as well. They don't have access to finance. They don't have access to the land, you know. Machinery is expensive as well.
It's true.
Yeah?
But yes, so when you come, that is why we are coming on board, to help you with whatever thing. So you have an idea of what you want to do in the agri space. That you've started something already. All of these things, we will address them. If you need help in any aspect of it at all, we are there to help.
Well, that's good. So it's not just they coming to exhibit, but that's what there's some education, there's some talk and all of that.
Yes.
Who are we hoping to hear from the day of the summit?
On the day of the summit, we hope to hear from the technocrats, people coming from CSIR, coming from Ministry of Agric, coming from the various universities and tertiary education, because the outcomes will be more on creating jobs, and then also how to bring technology to bear on agric, and then also how to improve, using the local economy to improve agriculture. The main emphasis also would be on post-harvest losses, and then also getting at least 70% of women getting involved in agric.
Are they? Do you find that women are gradually? I mean, women have been solution finders and providers. They must find food for us to eat since I was born. But does it look like women are getting interested in agribusiness? for this little summit that you're doing? You see women finding the interest in it?
Yes, so with the 70% that Mr. Kwaku spoke about, we might not be able to clock it because it's just a matter of time. We don't expect them to embrace this idea as it stands now, but it's just a matter of time. And quite, yes, a number has shown interest, which is a good one.
Okay. Let's reiterate how they can be part, so they can tell me again how they can be part of this exhibition and summit.
Okay, so they can call on the number 0244 081 358.
Okay.
0244 081 358. Or they can send a mail to ellegreen72.co@gmail.com.
Do they have to pay a little fee at all for maybe a stand? Or?
Yeah, you need to pay. You need to pay for the stand.
Okay.
Yeah, when you fill the form, depending on where you want to place your wares, then you pay for that.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Kwaku and Ira, thank you so much for joining us today. And I wish you all the best on the 13th to 14th of October at the Accra International Conference Center.
All right. Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. You're watching the AM show. We still have some more updates for you. Please stay. Thank you for staying with us. This one is quite exciting because Safe Child Advocacy is 20 years. And this morning, Reverend Sister Olivia Umo, who is director at Safe Child Advocacy, joins us via Zoom to talk about the journey so far. Good morning, Rev, and thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations, Safe Child Advocacy, 20 years. Congratulations to you. Personally, how are you feeling this morning?
Thankful. Feel thankful. I feel sweet. I feel happy to be associated with this great life-changing service that the Archdiocese of Kumasi and my congregation, the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul, have collaborated to bring about in the life of children in very vulnerable situations.
I feel excited for you as well. But for those who do not know about the Safe Child Advocacy, you want to tell us about it, at least?
Oh, sure. I love to tell you about us because we are blessed. And so many of you out there are, have contributed to our story today.
Tell us about what particularly the Safe Child Advocacy does. What's your objective? What's your vision? And what's been carrying you all through this 20 years?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this offer of time and opportunity to share about us. Safe Child Advocacy is a service of the Catholic Archdiocese of Kumasi under the management of the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul Sisters, established exactly 20 years ago at a point where the streets of Kumasi was flooded with children and no parents, no guidance, no support. The Archdiocese invited my congregation to take up this ministry to first do a feasibility study to see what can be done and if it is even a social problem. And when it was identified as a social problem, we were asked to take up this ministry to respond to this challenge of having children on the street by educating the children, seeking ways to get the children out of the street, to work with families, to reintegrate children, to support them in formal education and skill training. And for the last 20 years, this is what we have been about. We have worked with children very closely on the street. Our staff go to the street every morning, 3 times a week, and talk with young people, children, youth, mothers. And in the street there is a lot of union and associations, and we have to penetrate them in order to get the young people to leave the street. And that is what we have been about. So a whole lot of children we have supported to leave the street. In fact, we have close to 3,000 children that we have supported to leave the street, to engage in formal education up to the university level. As I speak with you, some of our children have become adult youths and they are studying abroad, doing their doctoral programs. And this is how we have journeyed. And not just formal education, we have also supported a great number of young girls to learn various skills and set up their own businesses. And today they are supporting other children from vulnerable backgrounds in their families, in their communities. And they are now entrepreneurs. They are what we call the mistress. They've started their own shops. They have plenty of apprentices. We have cases in the north where our girls we train have more than 30 apprentices in her shop.
Right.
So this is how it has been in this last 20 years.
Congratulations again. I mean, this sounds quite exciting, but surely you must have faced some challenges. What are some of the challenges you've been facing so far?
Oh, sure. Challenges are bound to be there in this kind of work. The children themselves love the streets and they are comfortable, and it can be very difficult to convince them that there is something, some alternative way of living outside the street. So let's start with the kids themselves when we are even meeting them on the street and inviting them to our drop-in center where I'm holding this interview from, which is very close to the central market of Kumasi, so that the children can come in and out and use the facilities and talk to safe adults. When we go into the street to meet them, first they are laughing. They just laugh at us that like to say, but me, I can't go to school. My parents say I should come and work and make money and send for them. They are very poor. They can't send me to school. So that's the one challenge. We have to do a lot of talking, a lot of meeting. They come to our center. We have to sit with them, play games, even so that we can attract them to believe in us. We have to use various ways. We have to sometimes do party, cook, dance, eat with them, and until they gain trust, and then they begin to believe in us. And then we start with one coming out of the street, 2, 3, 4, until we build up a number. The other challenge will be their parents, their families. Sometimes they say they cannot leave the street unless we speak to their families. So when we call their families, or sometimes we visit, we also have other organizations up in the north we collaborate with. Sometimes they go to visit in the families and talk to the families. It takes a lot of meetings to get families to agree that the child should leave the street. So, and then the people who use these children, the services of these children around the street, the central market, for instance, they use the children to carry load and to do some, menial chores like washing for food vendors and all of those kind of things. So these people also resist because they feel that these children, they are good for nothing. They cannot even become what we are dreaming of. We are wasting resources. We are wasting our time. They look at us when we are even on the street with the children like people who have nothing to do.
I can imagine.
And then, of course, the challenge of not getting enough government support that you would expect to help our services. Challenge of funding. We have to always look for funding here and there to send the children to school, because even if you are sending these children to school, the schools will still ask for their demands. If it is fees, they'll ask for it. They'll ask for all the prospectus they'll give you. When you talk finish that you are an NGO, you are helping poor children, they tell you are doing very well, but you have to provide everything.
I can understand. For your 20 years, do you have any activities planned out for the celebration?
Oh, yes. In fact, for the whole of this year, we have done a lot of activities, as part of this celebration. We have done a lot of webinars, educating public, drawing attention of public to the issue of children on the street. We have done school awareness, going to schools and speaking to young people. We've done a lot of in-person workshops for young people on the street. We've also done some work in about 6 communities in the north, where we have been to those communities where we find that a lot of children on the streets come from, and we've spoken with them. We've even initiated a project of safeguarding and protection of children in those communities. So a lot of activities we've done this year towards this anniversary. And what is left now is we are celebrating it with a Thanksgiving Mass. It's a church organization.
Right. A
Thanksgiving Mass on Sunday, which is 28th at the cathedral here in St. Peter's. And after that, we sit with our stakeholders and the children, and we have a lot of fun, hopefully. We have a residential facility that receives these children who may not have families that are ready to receive them when they want to leave the street.
Okay.
And so there are close to 100 children in that residential facility, and they are ready with a lot of activities to entertain everybody who cares to be part of this.
Right.
And we are going to host a webinar also to showcase what we are doing. And then we are going to host another webinar on the International Children's Day on the 20th of November. That will be the closure of this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and bringing us updates on this very important work that you're doing in the Ashanti region. Reverend Sister Olivia Omo is the Director for Safe Child Advocacy. We wish you all the best and a lot of help as well to be able to help many other children on the streets. There's so much on the show. Please stay. Welcome back to the show. So I am quite passionate about this because you live in this country, especially in Accra, and you don't know that there's a facility that exists. Why? Because until you're faced with that challenge yourself, or you have a loved one, or you have to visit somebody at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, you will not appreciate the challenge. Now, this morning, I've got Lady Anne Isiman, Managing Attorney, Vince and Alethea, PRUC. She is the convener of the Wholesome Mind Summit, and we're going to be talking about why she thought that Accra Psychiatric facility needs some sort of a rehabilitation. And of course, for us to even understand how challenging the problem is at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital or facility, Dr. Kokode-Nwamase is a psychiatric director, Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Lady and Doc, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, before I come to you, Lady Anne, to even tell me why you thought you should go to this project, how was it generally working in that facility? I just saw like a little footage, like a clip of it, and I saw a mouse running into, like I saw a mouse and reading about it, so I've seen that facility is quite old. How does it feel generally, see patients walking and out? You yourself work there.
Well, I have to start off by saying I'm blessed by having very passionate staff. So the people who work there are very dedicated, they're very passionate. It's not a very rewarding job in this country, and it's very rewarding outside this country. Mental health professionals are some of the best paid healthcare professionals in most first world countries, which is not the case here. So I have to say that aspect of the job is very fulfilling, being able to work with people who are so passionate about what they do. And fortunately, despite the challenges we have, we're also able to make big changes, impacts in people's life when they're at their most difficult points. So those parts of the job are very fulfilling, and it makes us all get up and keep on going to work. Now, to your actual question, you're being generous when you say a mouse. That was a rat. That's clearly a rat. The 119 years haven't been kind to the structure, and when the building was originally constructed, there was no medication for mental illness. So the only thing you could do is house and contain people with mental illness who are perceived to be dangerous. So it's built like a prison. It's an asylum structure. So that's a problem to begin with. And then the years and years of improper upkeep due to poor financing have meant that the structure keeps on, degrading and degrading and degrading and degrading. So this is a problem for those of us who work there, but it's more of a problem for our patients who, imagine you are diagnosed with depression and you are brought to the hospital to get better. And you are surrounded by this environment with your, let's call it a mouse, and these things falling apart around you. It's warm, it's hot, let's be honest, it's unpleasant. The medication needs to do a lot more work than would otherwise be necessary if your environment was more healing.
Yeah.
And we all know medications have side effects. So if the building, the environment is not doing its part to help you get well, then you end up taking more medication, end up having more side effects, and then when people see other people with side effects, they're scared to come to get treatment. People come, I won't take the injection, I won't take the tablet, because they see the kind of side effects people have had before, and the building is part of that. We need to do more aggressive pharmaceutically, because there are other aspects that could be helpful. There's, greenery in the environment, there's spaces, there's a cool, relaxing environment, there's exercise equipment to let you vent out the extra energy so we don't have to knock you down,
Lady Anne, there's so many projects you could have decided to want to undertake, right? What triggered this particular one? Did you visit somebody? Did you see?
And so the firm last year assisted a patient get an involuntary court order for treatment. And going through that process and visiting the hospital for 2 weeks straight, that was actually a Kolibu. I realized that there was a gap in our society when it came to mental health, because there's a difference between mental health and mental illness. And because we don't know the difference, we stigmatize. I thought that as a firm, we needed to give back to the society. And by that way, promoting advocacy, trying to push for policy generation around it, and all of those help to destigmatize the field. So we initiated the Wholesome Minds Summit last year. It was on mental health awareness and workplace mental health specifically. So after the maiden event, we had partnered with Accra's Mental Health Authority on that, and they invited us for your Show Your Love campaign to Accra Psychiatric Hospital on Valentine's Day. So I personally went there, and that was the first time entering, and their facility is behind our office. And so upon entering there and seeing how the place was, I thought that, man, in planning the summit for this year, there's something we had to do, there's a change we had to make. And so we decided that as part of our CSR, we launched a campaign, a fund drive, so that we can help them renovate that special ward. One thing that was also dear to us is because it houses men that are in the criminal justice system.
Right.
And as lawyers, that's one thing we can do to give back.
Okay.
So that was what caused this. We need 4 million Ghana cedis.
How much have you raised?
300,000.
Jesus. We need money, please. We beg. Dog, how desperately do you need this renovation? You want to lift it up to what kind of level?
So we want to change its function a bit to become Ghana's first properly designed psychiatric intensive care unit.
Okay.
So Ghana doesn't have one of these at all. And the impact of not having an intensive care unit for people with severe mental illness is that staff get injured more often because you don't have a properly designed space to handle these people who get more agitated. Then people have a tendency to get more agitated. So if you were irritable and annoyed before you came to the hospital, the environment you're in is now making you even more annoyed, even more irritable, increasing the instances where staff and patients have unpleasant encounters. So it's a big problem that we have. And I don't know whether you know, but there's a huge brain drain problem that I was alluding to. And part of it is just this, not even the salary. It's being able to work in a safe environment. That is, So, it's very important for us to have this at least in one place in the country so that these kinds of people can be nursed in one place in the country where we're done properly.
Okay. I think that this is an invitation for you to join this call, at least. Donate something, or somebody who can just write us a check. Please help Lady Anne. You should see her face. She get very mobile. She really needs it. And we've just put the flyer up there, but I'll just tell you how you can as well donate. There's a Momo number. It's on the screen. Please take a picture if you're not able to type the number 0530 464-306, and the reference name as well as Vincent Alethea PRUC right there. You can donate. She wants big money, but little amount as well is welcome. And You can as well donate. CalBank, we'll put the flyer up there for you. I'll tell you subsequently in our bulletins, I'll be sharing with you the details on how you can as well pay. There's a GoFundMe. They've made it quite easy for you to be able to pay. But Lady Anne, finally for me, we're unable to talk about all of it, but where can we go to at least read? Is there a website? Is there anywhere that you put all the information?
Yes, we have a website, so it's twm.vinceandalethea.com. So as a standalone website, we have social media handles. Once you type the Wholesome Mind Summit on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, it's all there.
Okay.
Yes.
You can as well visit the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, and then you can appreciate how this is a big challenge. But I elect myself to join this campaign. You should as well do. Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much, Lady Anne. My time is quite short, but next time I hope we have a longer conversation about this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the time.
Please stay. There's more on the show.
Studio by the people who are the forefront of this whole gathering. And I have with me in the studio Pastor Asare, Jonathan Asare Kufo. He's Pastor Worldwide Word Ministries. Pastor, grateful to you for joining.
Thank you.
And also Apostle Obed Amwa Duku. He is founder of the Obed Amwa Duku Ministries. Prophet, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. When I was young, I used to... we'll talk about that later.
That's all right.
But, I mean, let's talk about the prophetic arena and look at the origin of prophetic arena. How did it start? What was the motivation or inspiration?
Okay, so the prophetic arena was started by Prophet John Anochi by the inspiration of the Spirit of God. And the first one, I think, was around the year 2012. Okay. And so he's been doing it over the years. And he was inspired, and speaking to us, he made mention of what happened in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter number 9, chapter number 10, about Saul's encounter with the prophet Samuel, when the prophet told him that when you leave my presence and you are descending, you will meet a group of prophets. And when you meet them, the moment you have an encounter with them, you would also begin to prophesy and you'll be changed to another man. And so that is where, when the Spirit inspired him, that was the reference scripture that was given to him. And so prophets were gathered, and when a man who was even not a prophet had an encounter with them, the Bible said he changed to be a new man, and he began to prophesy to the point where people around started asking, is Saul also one of a prophet?
Okay, so that's it. Let me come to Apostle and ask for the vision behind Prophetic Arena 2025.
Yes, the vision behind Prophetic Arena 2025 is to bring the people of God together in a holy convocation where we trust God for the outpouring of His Spirit upon us. So Prophetic Arena is actually the theme of the whole conference every year. But for this very year, the focus is on festal gatherings.
Okay.
And that is found in the book of Exodus, where God gave an instruction to the people of Israel not only to observe these three major feasts or festivals in remembrance of Him, but it was also to establish and to deepen His relationship and covenant with the people of Israel. And there are many others, like the Feast of the Trumpets and all of that. But the three major ones that He told them to do was, number one, the Feast of the first one was the book of Acts, chapter 2, when the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles. So that's the Feast of Pentecost. And then we also have the feast of the Passover, which Jesus already fulfilled through His death. And we are in this season where the third one, very important, is the Feast of the Ingathering. Now, that is a feast
that brings everybody together.
Okay.
So whether you are Israelite, Jew, you know, whether you are not, God allows us. So it's more like access is granted and permitted to everybody to come in, and God pours His Spirit upon us.
And what will set this year's edition apart from all the previous editions?
So this year, now, when there is the clarion call for the in-gathering, now what happens is that, and the exciting thing is that everybody that comes there, now, whether you have an expectation or you do not, you know, there's something about God when He calls forth his harvest. When you find yourself in that environment, you will also benefit from what even others have sown, because the Bible talks about God is the God of the harvest, and in the season of harvest, once you find yourself there, so in the previous years maybe a lot of things had to be done, preparation, spiritual thing, but this year all you got to do is to find yourself there, because anointing is infectious. And once you find yourself in that arena, then you should be expecting something. Now, the in-gathering is also a celebration season. And so what are we celebrating? We are about to celebrate our testimonies, the things that we have been trusting God for. It's a season of restoration. It's a season of recovery. And so this is what sets the previous years, you know, apart from this year.
And Pastor, for people who will be coming, what should they expect from this year's event?
Your expectation is that God, when we have an encounter with Him, He pours out Himself into us. And so the promise in the book of Joel 2:28 that He will pour out His Spirit upon His people. He mentions the youth, He mentions children, He mentions maidservants. Now, when God releases His Spirit, now the Spirit, we have Spirit for business. And so if you are a business person, come expecting that God will release His Spirit upon you. You receive that Spirit, and you begin to do different things, and your business life, everything begins to change. And so God is releasing Himself. There will be healings, there will be the release of His power. If you are a minister of the gospel, come in for empowerment. Come and receive more of the anointings, the graces that are being released. And so the expectation when you are coming, just pray, just thank God. Like I mentioned in 1 Samuel chapter number 9, you see Saul, after he had an encounter with the prophet Samuel, before even going to meet the prophet Samuel, the verse 25 says that the day before, God had already told the prophet Samuel that I am bringing a man to you, and this is the assignment upon the man. Now, it means that even before you come for the program, God is talking about you to His prophets.
All right.
So pray in your home and tell God, Lord, before I get to the place, let the people see about me.
That's right. All right.
Reveal things concerning me to your servants. And so you come in already, you have communicated to God, and God will speak to His servants.
Have an expectation.
All right.
So with that expectation.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
We'll all be there to receive the impartation.
Thank you, sir.
Pastor Jonathan Asare Kufuor is the pastor worldwide Word Ministries, also Apostle Prophet Obed Amwaduku is founder Obed Amwaduku Ministries. And it's time for us to bring you E-Corner with Noella Curry and Yali. Just stay on.
Thank you.
All right, so you're welcome back to your favorite, absolute favorite E-Corner. I'm Noella Karen Yali, and we're going to begin from where we left off last week. And just in case you did not join us last week, we had a beautiful conversation with two individuals who had been honored by the current government or the sitting government. They were given diplomatic passports, obviously, to champion the Ghanaian narrative internationally. And we had, well, there were 5 individuals in all. There's Anita Erskine, there's Rocky Dauni, there's Ibrahim Mahama, not the politician, I'm talking an artist. There was also Gude Maya, and there was Denta Amwate. And we had a conversation with Anita Erskine and Rocky Dauni, and they dropped loads of gems, okay? Believe me when I tell you, they had a lot to say, a lot of progressive things, if you ask me. But this week, Denta Mwateng, who was also one of the individuals who was honored with the diplomatic passport, passed by the Hits FM studio, had a beautiful conversation with my colleagues, Doreen Avio and Kwame Datsi. They asked her about whether or not she knew she was going to be given, a diplomatic passport. She said no, she had no idea. She actually got an invite to attend the program or the summit. Just like everybody, like a media person, would get an invite. And she did, and, she got pleasantly surprised. And she was also asked that during the previous administration under ex-president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you were seen playing active roles in that government, doing a lot of stuff in collaboration with the government, Guba Awards. She did a lot of things with the Diasporan Office at the time. And so for you to have worked with that government, and then we see you again being honored by this current administration, don't you care about that talk? Oh, she's a boha, like we'd say in, local Ghanaian, parlance, or, seen to be swinging sides or playing, a very dangerous, if you know what I mean, game. And she had an excellent response. Listen.
For me, I have worked with all governments, especially with what I do with Guba. I can't be political in terms of, being affiliated to one particular party. If I'm called upon, like I was called upon in 2014, I was head of marketing for the World Cup, and that was during Mahama's time. Right? Yeah. And 2008, I was called by Nana Addo to be on the Ghana Tourism Board Authority. Yeah, I took it, and now I've been called upon to receive the diplomatic passport. And for me, that is a testament that the government see me as somebody that's promoting Ghana regardless of any political affiliations. And that's how I want to be known. I want to be known as somebody that will amplify any government that comes in. If CPP comes in and they want me to work, I will work. Because I feel like we need to, it's a very political terrain that we are in Ghana, and I think it needs to kind of stop, because some of us just want to work. We just want to portray the goodness of Ghana, and so I hope that this for some people will not see me as a political person, but somebody that is passionate about Ghana and passionate about the Africa continent.
But I bet you've received messages or calls like that where people...
do you know what, the majority of calls have been really positive, very, very positive. And even just the lady that just finished the interview, she was like, she just hugged me, was like, Denta, keep the work that you're doing. We all see you, see what you're doing, and that's what encourages me to do more, to be honest.
Very important.
Yeah. Have you been approached by any government to assume any political position?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Would you accept to do that maybe moving forward?
Not now. I feel like I still have a lot of work to do where I am now. And I prefer to keep doing what I'm doing, because it's affecting the government anyway. Yeah. Right? It's benefiting the government what I'm doing. And so I want to be where I am. I'm happy where I am.
Now
Denta Mwateng, MBE there. Excellent response if you ask me. Well, that's not all. So how many of you knew? Okay, so most of you that know about Denta, I'm sure you know her for her works as, a TV presenter, producer, founder and creative lead at Guba Awards. She was also given honored with a member of Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. That's why she has MBE attached to her name. She's quite an accomplished communications person, if you ask me. But how many of you knew that once upon a time, she explored a career in music, particularly gospel music? I bet you didn't know. Take a look.
I'm ready.
I don't know where you are at in life. I don't know how bad your struggle is, but I'm hoping you taking a look at, this today would give you some sort of motivation, It would inspire you to keep pressing on, because you never know. Your life can change in like this minute, okay? This was Denta. Look at her, very lanky looking, exploring some sort of talent in gospel. And today she's all what she is, right? And so she was asked on the interview about this gospel thing she experimented with. And this is what she had to say for a response.
Show.
2005.
Can you imagine?
2005.
And you were doing gospel.
Yes.
Why gospel?
I've always loved gospel. I've always been singing at church, and for me, it was like a testimony album that I did the music to, and just being grateful for everything that the Lord had done for me, even at that point in my life, and that's why I did the album. And I wasn't able to continue because then in 2009, that's when Gooba started.
Okay.
So I kind of had to give it all up because Gooba is also very heavy lift. So yeah. But I do miss it. I used to act, as well.
Hey, sister.
Yeah.
No, make us say, Charlie, started there 1990 something.
Wow. you were young then.
Yeah, I was young.
Starting television series.
Yeah, I was doing the Denta show, coming to interview Ajwa Smart,
Radio, TV.
Ejako. I've done everything. Literally.
Sister.
Which of these gives you more joy?
I think what I'm doing now.
But of course, what she's doing now is what she would love. I mean, we love our throwbacks. We love to reminisce on where we were, because obviously it gave us that opportunity to dream, to hope, and do whatever we're doing today. But we do not want to go back, okay? Anyway, so that was Denta Amoateng, MBE. Anyway, let's move away from that and talk about the biggest concert that is happening tomorrow at the Baba Yara Stadium in Kumasi. I'm talking about Rapaholic, the homecoming. It's a homecoming for a reason. It's the first time Sarkodie has taken Rapaholic to Kumasi. And obviously, there's a reason why he's taken it to Kumasi. He's an Ashanti man, and he felt like after so many years of organizing this beautiful concert here in Accra, it was now time for him to honor his people, his roots. And that's why he's taken it to Kumasi. And what you're seeing on your screens are a lineup of fantastic, talented, musicians or artists who will be performing at the concert tomorrow. But there's a little bit of controversy, and I want us to address that. So, obviously, he's going to be performing at the Baba Yara Stadium, which is a football pitch or park, right? Park or pitch? Anybody? Pitch? Okay, pitch. And I know that for the longest time, we have frowned, on, or let me not say we, like I am part of it, but some key people have frowned upon the pitch or football pitches being opened up to members of the creative industry by way of musicians to have their concert. Because when they do that, they perform or they organize it on the what's it called? The grass is called a pitch, right? Yeah, the pitch. And then they end up destroying it. And so a lot of people have spoken against it. And so when they got to know that Sarkodie will be performing at Baba Yara Stadium, people, raised concerns again. And, there was some sort of back and forth. Let me not say back and forth, but Apofo Ankra, who is the director at the National Sports Authority, he came out initially to talk about the fact that, look, Sarkodie is not going to be performing there. But I think they had talks, and obviously Sarkodie agreed to some level of discipline with, the organization there. But let's first listen to what Yao said. Why they have now decided to also open up, football pitches to concert being organized there.
Reality is that beyond football, the NSA must also find means to pay bills, electricity, maintenance, you name it. Beyond the infrastructure, there are a lot of responsibilities that the NSA has, and we have the rights to use our facilities to invest and to reap from that investment to take care of the relevant and necessary works that must be done. But I have said that we must protect our pitches.
So for this specific one, is the pitch going to be used?
No, the pitch will not be used. That is the instruction.
So the setup will not be on the pitch?
That is the clear instruction that I have given, that the pitch must not be touched. And it applies to the Accra Sports Stadium. And I'm sure when we had the President's Cup, you were here, you realized that the pitch was only barely used for ceremonial march, by the Navy Band. The performance by Shatawale was done outside beyond the goalpost.
Beyond the goalpost. What about the tartan tracks, though?
In Babayara, they will be protected. And again, instructions have been given that we must protect all these facets that provide services, because the cost of repair, would do more damage. It's not even about money, but the image. We've had it in the past, and we don't want it to be repeated.
Right.
There, for Ankara of the National Sports Authority, NSA, explaining why they would want to now open up, football pitches to creative people to come and organize their, concerts there. And on your screen is Sarkodie, assuring the NSA that, look, rules were laid down, and we have obviously agreed to abiding by those rules. And so we're not going to perform on the pitch. We're not going to destroy the pitch. We're just going to really put up a beautiful concert and let people come have fun. And that's just about it. Anyway, let's move away from that now. I saw an interesting video on social media, particularly Wudemaya, tourism ambassador, Wudemaya's Facebook page, and it intrigued me. And so I thought to share that with you. Have you ever fed? First of all, have you ever been in close proximity with hyenas? I don't like hyenas. I don't like them, right? So I have never been in close proximity with a hyena or a lion or whatever. Maybe I mean me free ban or me fear no or hoya shit that Me for me home baby. You get it. Yeah, if you don't get it, forget about it. But take a look at Wudemaya feeding hyenas, and it's the drama, it's the drama. Just take a look.
No. I will wait, no problem. Don't worry.
No problem.
Don't worry. You see that?
Hold it. Hold it. At least once. Hold it.
Yes.
No, hold it with your mouth, bro.
Bro, no, man.
Hold it. Let's have a good. Let's have a good shot.
Hey. Yes.
Nothing else.
Hold on. Take your time. Take it. Okay, no problem. Don't hand. Yeah. Opa. Bro, why is it getting close to my mouth? You don't like
Oh.
You took my steak, bro. I took my steak, bro. This steak got it. Yes, I did. Stop, bro. Stop, bro. I'm gonna get out. No.
I mean, it's hilarious. Yeah, and that happened in Ethiopia. He's currently in Ethiopia, and apparently that's like a thing in Ethiopia. It's a tourism thing where I guess these hyenas are domestically raised or something, and so they don't bite. And so you can just go there and feed them food, and they're like cats, right, or kittens, and they won't bite. Sorry, don't say I encouraged you, please. I know they're there with you. Anywho, that's it for our show. But before we leave, today happens to be the birthday of a very sweet, beautiful, bubbly crew member of ours. She is with our sister station, Joy Prime Television. She's responsible for ensuring that our presenters every morning are looking radiant, are looking beautiful. And she's such a sweet soul. And for her birthday, we asked her what she wanted for her birthday. And she said, I just want to come on JoyNews and have you wish me a happy birthday. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the beautiful, adorable Blossom. Blossom, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So from all of us here, myself and Blossom, we want to say happy birthday to you. If you're celebrating your birthday, you're celebrating it with us. And have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.